What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Steady. What was that noise for, JC? What are you doing?
Ready to pop my drink. That's what I'm doing.
Here we go.
Yeah.
My name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as JC.
Guys, there's a lot to celebrate. We got the Snyder Cut. March Madness is back. My bracket is still intact. As long as Loyola doesn't mess up in a minute, I'm good. So let's go. Let's pull this off. Hey, everybody, let's drink.
Yeah. I didn't record the first part of the intro, so we're going to have to do it again.
What?
Say what?
Yeah, I didn't record the first part. The audio part, I didn't record it. I hit record too late. Yeah, we're live,
Joe. We can't read.
We'll do it later.
We'll do it later then afterwards.
Yeah.
We'll just say, hey, this is JC.
Let's go ahead and do a mind wipe of everybody watching right now, and then we'll go ahead and start that.
I can't pop my drink again. It's popped. Once it's popped, it's popped.
You have to make the noise. Okay. Are you, Joe? You ready now, Joe?
I'm ready now.
All right. Hey.
No, we got our usual visitor.
Sorry. Okay, here we go. What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Steady. With me on this episode, the man, this legend known as JC.
Hey, Snyder Cut's here. March Madness is back. It's a great time to be alive. And my Final Four's still good. My bracket's still good. But hey, everybody, come on, Loyola, don't screw this up. I need you guys.
How is it not busted? Bust him.
No,
Bust him,
Final Four, dude. I got Loyola in the Final Four. They're beating Illinois right now. Let's go.
We also got the man behind the magic, the one and only Joe Garcia. What's going on, Joe?
Yeah, this time I did hit record on the audio portion of it, so we're good to go. We're good to go.
Sweet.
Well done, sir. Well done. This is the Geekcast. We are definitely missing one of our members, Jericho, who was unable to join us, but we actually have his review of the Snyder Cut. Today, we are reviewing Zack Snyder's Justice League, the long-awaited, never thought we would see the light of it, the Snyder Cut. And we're going to read Jericho's reviews later on in the show. We also want to hear from you. So if you watched it, if you enjoyed it, or if you disliked it, we want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much. My incredible wife did me a favor and brought over my mutagen.
Nice.
Ted's gonna turn into a turtle. Yeah.
She should have given it to your daughter to hand deliver to you, Ted. She would have thrown it at the camera.
I feel like we're breaking some laws if we're showing kids delivering beers.
No, if it's your kid, if it's under your supervision, that's legal. Trust me, I looked it up. So.
Okay, before I open that, I need to make sure I finish my thought process here. Let's see here. Yes, so if you're watching this stream right now, we want to hear from you. Let us know if you liked it. Let us know if you disliked it. What were your favorite parts? What worked for you? What didn't work for you? Let us know in the comments below.
What in the world? That's JC. You got a weird hum coming through, bro.
Unplug it.
How about now?
There, that fixed it.
Much better.
What the hell happened?
I've
been doing that. I have to fix it. Sorry.
Love it.
Yeah.
If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're at, we want to hear from you. So be sure to let us know what you thought about the Justice League when we get into that full discussion. But first, I have to call out our March Madness social media event. The Perfect Casting Tourney is now in the finals, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm willing to bet nobody saw the finals being J.K. Simmons versus Heath Ledger. JC, how shocked are you that J.K. Simmons was able to upset not only Patrick Stewart, but also Ryan Reynolds?
I think I'm more upset about him being Ryan Reynolds than Texas losing last night. Let's be honest here. Texas I can deal with. Abilene Christian had like the best defense in basketball right now, but Ryan Reynolds was my number one on the ratings. I thought for sure he's got to be there. When you think of Deadpool, it's Ryan Reynolds, hands down. Yeah. So I was a little bit shocked by that, and maybe that's why I'm drinking today. But
but can we at least acknowledge how powerful the voice of comic book fans is?
Oh yeah,
because a guy like J.K. Simmons is in the finals, where we lost guys like Chadwick Boseman, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Christopher Reeve, for crying out loud, is not anywhere near the finals, but J.K. Simmons is in. Who could possibly win? It's a close match right now.
Yeah, I mean, J. Jonah Jameson, there's nobody else like it. Even when they brought his character back in the current Spider-Man films, it was him still, So it's just that it attests to how good he's made that character. But
he's J. Jonah in like 2 separate multiverses. That's how good of how he plays that character.
But Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, and that's a lot. I mean, I'll have a funny story later when we get to Snyder Cut, but this won't be the last time you hear about Deadpool. I'm just gonna tell you guys that right now. So
okay, real quick.
Yeah, pop it.
Right. Oh, I didn't want to spew, so I kind of let it out slow.
30 seconds left. Loyola's still winning.
Here we go. Joe, now you, sir. While I take a drink of my Mutagen by Ingenious Brewing Company. This is the most gorgeous can of any beer ever. Joe, how shocked are you that we got J. Jonah Jameson against the Joker in the finals of the Perfect Casting Tourney?
I'm kind of surprised. I thought that Chadwick Boseman would be here, quite honestly. So this is kind of the sleeper round, I guess you could say. We didn't suspect that J. Jonah Jameson would be here. Yeah.
No, sorry, I'm still here. I completely agree. And I said when we started this entire event, I could have seen 4 or 5 different situations or scenarios being played out for the finals. I could have seen Robert Downey. I could have seen Ryan Reynolds for sure. If you would have told me the fans would have voted Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier as the perfect casting choice for that bracket, I would have said, yeah, I'll buy it. I'm in. Doesn't matter. To see Heath and JK is pretty surprising and remarkable. And in the comment section, I mean, we had Richard Redding, who's top fan, great guy, been following us for years, who said he feels like this is a landslide, a one-sided affair. And I said, take a look at the votes, man. It's pretty close. I think this is going to be a photo finish. So if you haven't voted yet, our perfect casting journey is now in the finals. We're looking for the most perfect casting choice for a comic book character, not a superhero, comic book character. And right now it's Heath Ledger and his casting of the Joker, his portrayal of the Joker, against J.K. Simmons. I almost said Rowling. J.K. Simmons and his portrayal of J. Jonah Jameson. So go to the post. That's the only way we can count your vote. Go to the post and
on
hit
Facebook.
Either like on Facebook. Sorry, either hit like or heart. Like for J.K. Simmons and heart for Heath Ledger. You got until noon our time tomorrow to get your vote in. At noon tomorrow, polls will be closed unless there's sort of a tie and then go to sudden death. But you have until noon tomorrow, so we're like 22 hours away from that, basically, to cast your vote. It's been a lot of fun. We've had hundreds and hundreds of votes. Thank you for everybody who's been participating. Also, thank you for your comments. A little bit of a back and forth banter, some debates amongst some fans sometimes, which is also always great to hear, always great to see. So, perfect casting tourney, tremendous success. Excited to see who wins it all. I'll do one quick geeky weekly headline. Suicide Squad. Now that the Snyder Cut is out, and we're gonna be talking about it in just a minute. DC is now going to be kind of increasing the marketing of some other films coming up. Of course, of which is James Gunn's Suicide Squad. We've already dropped some T-shirts, some merch that is going to be coming out very soon. I think early in April is what I'm hearing. Featuring Harley Quinn. So if you want to take a look at the leaks, the concepts for those T-shirts, go ahead and over to our Facebook page. And there's also kind of a new poster, which also shows all the characters in their glory. So Suicide Squad marketing should be turning up very soon now that Snyder Cut is out, and all the focus can now shift to Suicide Squad very soon. Trailer, I'm hearing everything from soon to the next couple of weeks. I'd say by the end of the first week of April. If we don't have anything, I would be very surprised. The movie's supposed to drop in like just a few months, so we should be seeing something else pretty soon. And I'm very excited about it. James Gunn is a phenomenal director. I would put him up against any other director doing action films right now. So yeah, I'm excited. JC, you excited for Suicide Squad, man?
Yeah, see where they move on from here. See how much the Snyder Cut might influence this movie on some level too. So, but I'm interested to see James Gunn's take on this and where they go from it and what's next.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be reviewing the beer, but this is damn good. I'm excited.
I tried to get
This is
some
a-
the other day when we were hanging out at Jacobs, but they sold out like in half a day.
Yeah, I went. I had like 5 minutes because my daughter was in swim class, so
No,
I
man.
went by the bar when they first like opened. I grabbed my 4-pack and took off. This is great, hazy IPA. Yeah, that's damn good stuff. Joe, how about you, sir? Suicide Squad. Have you? I don't know if you had a chance to see the photos of the Harley Quinn shirts or the new poster, but anything kind of stick out to you there?
I have not seen the new shirt. I have not. I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm not going to BS everybody and try to make something up. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Well, the shirts look great. There's Harley Quinn shirts that are coming out, and Margot Robbie looks fantastic. I love
always
kind of
does.
the new
Margot
style and the design of her, and I'm eager to see what Margot can do as Harley Quinn when she has a director like James Gunn behind the camera. I feel like James is really good at bringing out not only the best in people, but bringing out some great kind of stuff off the cuff, improvisational things. We know that happened on the set of Guardians of the Galaxy a lot. A lot of the magic happens when you get a great idea kind of in the moment, and some directors probably aren't more comfortable with doing those things. I feel like James Gunn is. So when something good happens, when the magic is like kind of right there, he's able to pull it out. All right. Should we go ahead and talk about the Snyder Cut?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I had maybe somebody who wanted to join. I was telling Mike he should have been
Uh-oh.
on this episode with us, and I told him. He said no one asked, and I said, hey, if you want us to send you the link, just let us know. So I don't know, JC, you want to
He
kind
gave
of
me his thoughts. I'll text him, see if he wants to join. But
text him if he wants to. We'll bring him in.
Yeah.
To be fair, I don't know if he's watching right now. To be fair, Mike, like we kind of were throwing out random days and
different
times, and
times.
we didn't even know everybody was going to be available to this morning. So
Yeah.
Well, Fast Lane's tonight, so let's do it. So
nobody cares about Fastlane. You got
Watch it.
WrestleMania in a
Watch
few
it.
weeks. WrestleMania's in a few weeks. That's all the only that matters.
This is the final one to Mania. Yeah, first one on the Peacock Network.
Oof.
Don't even get
Yeah.
me started on that, dude.
All right, well, let's go ahead. This is going to be our spoiler-filled review for Zack Snyder's Justice League, aka the Snyder Cut, and we're not going to go through it scene by scene, primarily because JC complained about doing it that way, and
Because
he
it'll
said
take
would
us
take-
5 hours.
It
the way
will.
it's on.
and he said it would take 10 hours if we did it that way. So fine, we won't do that
Yeah.
completely. I'm just kidding.
If you wanna talk for 5 hours here, man, be our guest.
No.
what I'm actually really interested in doing is we've had a lot of friends of ours who have very different opinions on this film, and it will be something I will bring up at the end of our show, how different sort of the range of opinions on. But for right now, just overall general summary, right? I do think that this is a much better film than what we got in 2017. I also will kind of from time to time reiterate that it's weird to compare because 2017 like shouldn't have happened. And I think some people that say like, oh, this part isn't that different. Well, it's like, yeah, but this is not the fault of the Snyder Cut because this is the original film. Like this is the first film. You got Super Mario 2 before you got Super Mario Brothers. Like you weren't supposed to do that.
I thought you were going to talk about the Super Mario film. I was like, we don't do that here.
No. It's like getting Mortal Kombat Annihilation before you got Mortal Kombat. Like you weren't supposed to get this movie first. You were supposed to get the original first. This is a much more cohesive film as a whole. This is a much more cohesive film in Zack Snyder's trilogy, which now looks pretty solid and spectacular when you put the films back to back.
Look,
to back.
Mike's joining us.
Oh man.
What up,
and
Mike?
joining us on the fly is the one and only Mike. What's going on, Mike?
You're muted, or we can't hear you.
We can't hear you yet.
All right.
He's going to do this entire show in sign language.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the trilogy. As I've understood it. Hey, Mike, there you are. Hey, Mike.
Sorry, guys. Hey, thanks for letting me join.
It's funny you mentioned the trilogy movies. Obviously, when I talked last week to you guys about this, because at the point I was the only one that had seen it, I said, watch Man of Steel, watch Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition before you watch this, and then Wonder Woman. From what I understand, Snyder's working on an IMAX triple feature type film for later this year.
Jeez, dude. Can you imagine, though, that 4 hours going to kill me, though, man?
No, yeah, well, you're going to get Man of Steel, then BVS, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League right afterward. So, Ted, as soon as it's out, I know you'll be requesting PTO. That's fine. As soon as it is. So,
deny it, JC.
Yeah, well, it's not me. It's we're on the same level, but yeah. Mike, good to see you, man.
Hey, good to see you too, man.
Yes, good to see you, Mike.
Happy Peacock Network Day of Fastlane. So
Yeah, I think we could still watch it. I think the network is still open till April 4th. So
yes,
nothing I've heard about the Peacock right now is looking good. So
we'll talk about it. We're gonna do the WrestleCast. We're gonna record it tomorrow, but I'm gonna watch on Peacock. If you haven't signed up for it yet, you get 4 months for the price for $10, and I went ahead and signed up to see what it's like. So
it's not bad.
Yeah, I can't beat that. So
no, covered WrestleMania definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of. Mike, we're just doing like early summary thoughts on the film as a whole, and then we'll get into
worst movie ever.
We'll get into some deep.
We had
dives.
to bring a Marvel guy on here, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah,
we're gonna have some deep dives.
I like a lot of DC things.
Yes.
And as a background, I'll just say I just have not been as invested in this iteration of the characters for this movie. You know I've loved a lot of the TV shows, the cartoons, the old series. I mean, even the Dark Knight series.
Yeah, Mike was watching Smallville right along with me when it was going on. So.
Love that show.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. I have no preconceptions about your review. I feel like it's going to be surprising. And when we get to his review, Jericho's review, the man was texting us throughout watching the film.
I think he was trolling you, Ted. That's what he was.
I don't think so. No, he wasn't, because he was online.
Yeah, I know.
Telling people what No, I don't think so.
Spoiler alert on his review. I think he was saying that because Superman hadn't shown up yet. That's what it was. That's to be honest.
He was live tweeting
it could be.
That might have been.
My point is,
Superman hadn't shown up. That's why he was mad. So
my point is, when we get to his review, I'm going to make sure and remind everyone, I did not see that coming. His review was a complete 180 from what he was not only texting us, but putting out on social media, which wasn't meant for us, by the way.
Who was this?
It was just him talking. Jericho.
Oh, well, yeah.
I don't think, if you haven't read his review, it's going to surprise you, Joe.
Oh no, it won't. I saw the text.
I'll try and read it in my Jericho voice later.
I saw the text, and I saw some of it before we came on here.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely do that later on. So let's get into the Snyder Cut. Once again, this is your last chance. This is your spoiler warning. We're going to be getting into a lot of spoilers from here on out. Uh-oh.
Your brother says Jericho is irrelevant.
Let me put that on the screen.
Derek,
worthy.
Derek, do not
worthy.
Listen, he doesn't know. Derek doesn't know. Derek doesn't know what his review is.
Okay,
so he'll figure it out. He'll find out.
Still funny.
He'll be
what
surprised.
A Jericho. He's not even here to defend himself.
Good to hear from you again. Fake Thor. Yeah. All right.
Fake Thor.
Fake Thor.
Here we go.
Yeah.
what was I kind of getting to? Yeah. So, in my opinion, this puts a really cohesive bow on the entire trilogy. The things that were emotional worked for me. The things that were funny in Zack Snyder's own sort of sarcastic way worked for me. The action sequences, even the ones that were very similar, were sort of enhanced by not only a kind of different take on the visual effects, but also the score. I think the score, which really had its own sort of identity in 2017, is more just a background support for this film. And I just take that as like Junkie XL really just spending the time to support Zach and his vision, as opposed to throwing in a lot of elements of music onto a movie.
Mhm.
It's a weird way to say it, but I think Junkie was trying to just support what was happening on screen, and the other one was just music playing while stuff is happening. There really isn't a whole lot of connection there from before.
Yeah,
I
nothing
think
against the White Stripes, but it just didn't make sense for White Cheeky Thump to be playing when Aquaman's getting back in the water. You know,
there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, the things that were different were better, and then the things that were new, I felt helped a lot. I think there's a lot more heart in this film, and I'm just talking as a comic book film in general. I think there's a lot more heart in this film. A lot worked for me. We'll get into a lot of deeper things going forward, but in general, my overview is it was a really damn good movie, and I was surprised. I was actually expecting something a little bit less than that, but a little bit better than 2017, and ended up surpassing my expectations. So I think Joe is probably right. Go in with low expectations, and you'll be definitely surprised. But JC, how about you next? Your general thoughts overview about the film.
Obviously, the theatrical cut doesn't exist in my mind anymore. I've said that since I saw it. I really watched the movies leading up to it to just kind of get my mind right. And I think going in, I think a lot of people that have said bad things about it just don't like the length, or are trying to compare it too much to the original, or to, I wouldn't even say the original, but to the Justice League cut, if you will. But I loved it. I've said it here. I've said it on Movie Talk. This has just been, we've watched it like 4 times. The kids loved it too. Yeah, we let the kids watch an R-rated movie, but they enjoyed it too. So it's Mike's like, what the hell? Well, my kids, damn it. Your goddaughter, by the way.
I believe it.
But no, it was beautiful. This is the film we should have gotten years ago. I'm a bit upset that we didn't. And it's one of those things that I'm glad the fans never gave up on it. And it's got me itching for more. It's got me itching for Snyder to finish what he started. And I'm hoping at the very least the studio learns to just stay out of the damn way and let the filmmakers make their film, regardless of your opinion. It's, if this had been what was released 4 years ago or 5 years ago, what is it, 4 years ago now, people wouldn't be talking as bad about the DCEU as they have been. So
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Joe, general thoughts, sir.
General thoughts. I thought, just like JC said, we got to erase the other Justice League that came out in 2017 from our minds, from existence. At this point, Josh Whedon doesn't even deserve to smell Zack Snyder's fart, should I say? It was so bad, that version of the
For a
Justice
lot more
League.
reasons than just the movie.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just a completely different film, from start to finish. It was great to see the grand vision of what Zack Snyder had wanted to bring to the masses on the big screen actually came to fruition, because we never thought we'd actually be able to see the Snyder Cut's version of the Justice League. And I just thought that there was a better dialogue going on. It wasn't forced. They didn't have the corny jokes. This was a much more uniformed story. And it didn't seem like 4 hours when you watched it. You really enjoyed it. Even like the opening scenes, that we got to see with, when you were in the Themyscira, how do you say it? Themyscira, or
Themyscira.
Themyscira, yeah. That was a lot better. It just looked night and day. It was a big difference, you know. Even with Stephen Wolf, before they made him just didn't seem as powerful as he actually was. This time, you actually felt he was a presence to be reckoned with. You know, he was a force on the screen. You know, he wasn't just some chump, some punk, you know, getting shot on the street. You know, he was somebody that you were he was an imposing figure, you know, and that's what it should have been from the beginning. And not only that, but the overall look of the armor that he had. I thought it was very unique. If you noticed, and I went back the second time and I watched, his armor is constantly moving. It never stays still. It's always moving. It's like it's its own living organism, which I thought was really cool. You know, it's like the armor almost like it thinks for itself, you know, than Stephen Wolf having control over it, which it was very alien in nature. And I thought was very unique. And I also liked, you know, some of the other little elements that were thrown in there to help with the story. I thought showing a little bit more about what was going on with the Flash. You know, we got to see a little bit more Superman, you know, what was going on there to me. And then also the story with Cyborg to me was probably the best surprise out of the whole thing. Seeing more character development out of Cyborg, really getting to see where he fit here with this Justice League, this version of the Justice League. It just didn't seem like he was just thrown in there to be thrown in there. You actually got to go a little bit deeper and you got to see a lot more things that were not available in the 2017 cut, which to me, I mean, he was very interesting, you know, just to
Oh yeah.
see what was going on with him, you know, and the range of emotions, what he was fighting with. He was going through a lot of things and then he was called upon to be a hero too. So, I mean, poor guy, dude. He was dealing with a lot, you know. I don't want to ruin things and say, "Hey, this is what's happening." I'm just saying the overall story arc for Cyborg to me was really compelling. It was really well done. So all in all, I mean, first thoughts, I gotta say this was a very solid movie. Like the portrayal, thought it was a masterpiece from start to finish. You know, I even like the score, the cinematography. Some people complained, including myself, of the 4:3 format. I would have rather seen it in a widescreen, but I understand this is the director's vision. This is what he wanted to go ahead and
The
have.
IMAX
Yeah,
filming.
the
Yeah.
IMAX version. So I get it, you know, and that's why Ted was like, "Oh, I want to go see it in the IMAX format." I understand that. You know, it would have been really something to see, you know, if you were able to go to a theater and watch it. So for all the people who are giving it flack and gave negative reviews, come on. Some even went as far as saying that it was just a hair better than the 2017 version. I don't know what they were
Ugh.
smoking.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Um, w- let's bring that up also like afterwards because you really can't, you know, get into the heads of people that are giving it bad reviews for things like the length of runtime, and it's like, but you knew that before you went into it. Like you can't order dinner and you order like a plate of sushi and you're like, I don't like sushi. I'm gonna order it, and if I don't like it, I'm gonna blame the restaurant. It's like, no, you don't like sushi. Don't order sushi. If it's a 4 hour time that you can't sit through, then don't sit through it. That's
Yeah.
just basically all you
Oh,
got to
one
do
thing
about
I
that.
wanted to add to one of the things that I thought was very touching in this whole film was the correlation or the back and forth, the father son relationship between Cyborg and his dad. There's a moment there that's really touching near the end of the film that I'm
Sure.
not going to ruin, but it
Yeah.
has a very it's very impactful to what happens. You know, I think with Cyborg moving forward as a character.
Definitely. Please bring that back up when we get to kind of like the end
Yeah.
of the film. Mike, we go over to you, sir. Your general thoughts about the Snyder Cut.
Well, I feel like this was a good segue because y'all pretty much just spent 3 minutes saying, really, no one should be able to say this is bad, and if you do, you're not right. And then I'm going to say, all right, let me say some things as nicely as I can, because as I said earlier, I've just never been into a lot of these characters from the beginning of Man of Steel. I think Henry Cavill looks like an amazing Superman. I don't like his portrayal of the character or the Clark Kent version of it. I will. Ezra Miller is great in a lot of other movies. I don't like this version of the Flash. And dear God, they had a chance to change his running style, and they did not. And that just, I don't get it. But I will say this: if this had come out in a 2.5 to say 3 hour version in 2017, and that's all I've seen, I think I'd be okay with that. But it's also not fair to not say that the past 4 to 5 years of having to live through all the hoopla of release the Snyder Cut, this will be the greatest thing ever, lives have been changed, and then to see that there's just a lot that's not like I just don't get to that level. Is it better than 2017? Sure, but like you said, that's a low bar to try to reach. I think it takes itself way too seriously, and like little things like Wonder Woman has a really great theme from her movie. That da na 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 na.
Yeah, that little
And
jingle.
then all of a sudden they decide at different points to do like the weird, like I don't even know what it is, women singing in the background when she's just standing there. Like I don't even know how to describe that.
Kind of the choir when she starts coming in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You know, and there's a lot of great actors in this film filling different roles, and I don't care too much about them. Like Amy Adams as Lois Lane.
Yeah.
I don't care. I know we'll get into this a little bit later, but the general who has more than one role, you find out.
Yeah.
That whole thing. Why do you tell me early just to do what you do at the end? Like that seemed weird.
well, I know that scene changed. I know what you're talking about with who we think is Martha Kent and
Yeah.
Lois.
Oh, it's right.
They changed a little bit of the CGI on that while in post-production. Zack decided to change one thing to transition him from Martha to Manhunter to him. Yeah, originally it was going to be Martha straight to the general, and you're like, what the hell? How does that happen? But yeah, apparently he changed the CGI on that. But yeah,
I guess it just why reveal it at that point just to do the big thing at the end. But and it's I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. It's not something I'm going to watch many times over and over. It's not something I'm going to call a masterpiece. Like I've said before, I'm glad y'all got this because I know y'all have been a lot more into this than I have. Man of Steel, again, it was just like, it was okay. A lot more of y'all were, this was great. Batman v Superman, similar things. And I know y'all are going to say that, well, you have to watch the Ultimate Cut. Now you have to watch Snyder Cut. And I know it's not all their fault, but at the same time, if your best movie series has to get their redone versions before we get the greatness, there's problems in that.
I
if
agree.
I have to watch, and not their fault, but also not my fault as a fan, going to watch these movies, that I have to watch the Ultimate Edition of Batman versus Superman. I have to watch the Snyder Cut to get the real story,
the first story,
or to get the story that he envisioned. Sure. Yeah. And even that, this isn't really, maybe like 85 to 90% of what originally come out, because obviously he changed some things. He also had like 4 years to kind of look at how things have gone and see more little edits. And honestly, that stuff at the end, the thing that a lot of people like and the stuff he added with Joker, just it didn't work for me.
But,
man. Listen, we will have to make sure though that we don't make assumptions. It's not Zack Snyder had 4 years to make a good movie.
No.
Yeah, Zack was only told like November, hey, if we wanted to, could you finish it? If we gave you, the money,
$1 million for the
and
visual
you hired, hired the VFX, it would get done.
I understand that. I mean, the idea that he's had time since. I know he didn't watch the original.
Yeah.
I've read some of that stuff over the past couple of weeks that his family told him don't watch it.
Yeah.
And I
Chris
get that.
Nolan, yeah.
But he's had time to see, and kind of get an idea of where other movies have gone, what other DCU movies have done, what Marvel movies have done. So I can't imagine that what he would have brought out in 2017, and I'm not saying a lot, like I said, 85, maybe 90% even, was still what he had intended, but he still had some time for little things in the back of his head to be like, oh, you know what, now that I can do this, maybe I would have done this instead of that. That's all I'm adding.
I see that, because if this movie had come out 4 years ago, obviously a lot would have been edited down. They probably would have edited down to 3.
2.5 to 3, you think?
Probably
That's
shorten it
what
to 3. I mean, this is the typical thing. We got the version of Batman vs Superman we got in theaters, and then this always happens in movies. Well, here's the director's cut you can buy on Blu-ray.
Right.
That's what we get.
Sure.
This would have been a Blu-ray release 6 months after the original movie came out. If they would have delayed it, let him deal with what he had to, and then go back and finish his vision, he would have presented it. They probably would have cut it down to 3 hours, 2.5 if they want to get aggressive, but 3 would have been fine with me. And then, well, here's my director's cut with an hour. And obviously, who knows if we would have gotten the Joker scene at the end that they would have added to the nightmare sequence. But, you know, I look at this as not just Zack Snyder's vision, but his director's cut. You know,
Yeah.
so that's kind of this thing. Like, you know, hardcore fans like us will watch the director's cut, and it plays in more than that. But obviously, for you, more as the casual fan, it's a little bit different. I know for you, you invested so much time in the MCU. You've had all that built up, and I'm I know a big MCU fan. Nothing against MCU, but they did it right. Disney just stayed out of the way. Let Feige do it. Let the vision.
That's not even 100% true, but a
Yeah.
lot less than what WB did. I think
Right.
Ted probably knows some of the smaller things that Marvel dealt with early on in there
Yeah. But
before
that's
Feige. Like, yeah,
the whole
Yeah.
Infinity Saga was a big puzzle, and
Yeah.
it had to parts had to lay in. And when Man of Steel and BVS came out, and even before Justice League and all that, I said, look, this is all part of a larger puzzle. Zack has a vision where it's going. You have to let it play out. And
they didn't.
WB just didn't listen. They saw we want another MCU. No, it's DC. It's darker. It's a different storyline. It's not going to be a happy-go-lucky MCU thing, even though we left Infinity War with like half of everybody dead. How much darker can you get, right?
You know,
Yeah,
not
so-
to totally change the subject, but I don't think MCU gets enough credit sometimes for they're really not always just happy-go-lucky. They do a really good job of mixing in emotion and then lightening it up with some stuff.
Yeah.
And like I said, though, I think if I would have gotten even a 3-hour version of this in 2017, and that's it, right after Batman v Superman, and was Suicide Squad right before this too, right?
Yeah, if we had gotten the Ayer, the original version, the non-WB thing of the Suicide Squad with Wonder Woman,
I think I would have been okay with this. I still may not be at y'all's level because, again, just certain characters and certain things. But I think I would have been better with this. But you know, that's also not my fault for what happened. So
yeah.
Let's get into the film now, and we're gonna have to start with exactly where the film starts: the ending of Batman v Superman and the death of one Clark Kent, aka Superman. So we get sort of this new take on it, whereas the dying screams of Superman are resonating across the globe, and not only do they get heard all across the planet, but they're also a sort of mechanism in which sort of wakes up the dormant mother boxes. We see these ripples actually hit Atlantis and hit the Mascara, and even sort of jolt the mother box, which has already been awakened by Silas Stone in the closet of Ray Fisher's apartment. And this is not something this is something I had heard before, but I didn't know how literal Zack was making it out to be. And I want to say, like, to me, this is clever. This is interesting that the death of a Kryptonian on this planet is sort of one of the things that you can say ignites the rest of the story. We don't have a Steppenwolf invasion and all these parademons if Superman does not die. Basically, without one, you cannot have the other. JC, your thoughts on this sort of opening sequence?
It harkens back to BVS. Luther's last words in that movie were, "The bell's already been rung, and they're coming."
Yeah.
Obviously, we see a little bit of that where he's in the resurrection chamber with Steppenwolf envisioning it, which we did see in Ultimate Edition. But this is very much an integral part of the story. Even the mother boxes were scared of Superman. They wanted to be found. They've been stuck on Earth for so many years. They wanted to be found by Darkseid. They wanted to be found by Steppenwolf. And they didn't call until they knew, hey, the invasion could be successful. And now the one guardian this planet has is dead. You know, let's all right, let's do this. You know, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. And as I kind of mentioned earlier, I feel like it's one of the key points that I missed the first time. But there's 3 mother boxes. 2 of them have been dormant since 5,000 years,
Well,
since the first battle. The
Yeah.
only one that's been kind of awakened recently is the one that helped formed Ray Fisher's character Victor Stone into Cyborg. So even
It's not fully
like,
awake. It was used to create him, but then
There
it
you
went
go.
back to sleep. It didn't fully awaken because they said it later on.
yeah,
Cyborg was created a year before these events, and even when he was created, it didn't stay awake and call to Steppenwolf. It says, "Okay,
right.
we're hiding away still." Yeah,
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's interesting to me. That's
Mhm.
great stuff.
Yeah.
It's not something that I needed, not something that I thought I wanted, but to me, like if you're putting logical reasons behind all this stuff happening, then I'm all in. I'm all for it. I like it, and it's I'm hooked. I'm hooked on the concept of that.
Mhm.
Joe, how about you, sir?
Yeah, I thought it worked. One of the things that I think we kind of overlook is that the mother boxes are alive. They each one of them has an entity that lives inside of it. So these entities feared Superman possibly because maybe he had the power to destroy the mother boxes. So by them being dormant and being hidden away, they kept themselves alive. It was there was their survival instincts, for them just to remain
Yeah.
hidden, because
Yeah.
he could do something to him. I don't know. They were afraid of him for a reason. But as soon as you saw those dying screams and you saw the shockwave ripple, across the globe, and then you see him waking up immediately to, I guess, send the signal out. Hey, Earth is ready for the taking now. So then we see that happen on screen. I thought that was an interesting take on it. I didn't know if the screams or the ripples were just going to be contained to him being those sounds or that shockwave being heard just here on Earth, or were they going to be kind of thrown out there into the universe?
There you go.
I thought that would be pretty cool as well. Hey, it's still going on. Because sound waves and radio waves, those types of transmissions, can still carry on in outer space. So, to me, it wouldn't be far fetched to see the shockwave still continuing. I
Well,
thought,
it would carry on in space because there's no sound in space, but that's a different thing.
yeah. So I'm
And I
just
could
saying, it would've been
I
cool.
could already hear somebody coming up with that logical reasoning of why it would
Yeah.
be bad. No, you can't make sound travel in space because we saw The Last Jedi and the ships had exploded. They didn't cause any sound. That's why there was no sound on the screen. Anyways, yeah,
Well-
I'm glad they did not do that because I feel like that would be an immediate complaint against it. But this way that he did it was pretty damn interesting. Pretty cool.
I thought it was interesting. I like that a lot. I just like the way that the film was set up from the beginning, immediately starting right after, Batman versus Superman. The only gripe that I ever had with Batman versus Superman was the introduction of one Doomsday. I thought he was a character that should have kind of alluded to that. Like the pieces should have.
That's a discussion for another time, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's really Doomsday. But
Well,
that's yeah.
It is Doomsday for this, all intents and
Well,
purposes.
if you watch Snyder's talk about Man
We'll
of Steel,
talk, Joe. We'll talk.
yeah, we'll talk.
Well, I'm
Look,
just
I mean,
saying.
we got Doomsday at home, but I mean, it's
Oh
with
my.
numbers. Ted, I do want to
ahead,
throw a
Mike, go ahead.
little thing in from the beginning because I want to make sure because I've read stuff online and this seems to be one of the kind of the things about it. So when he cries, when he dies, Superman, he awakens the boxes, and then Steppenwolf and them are alerted to their presence, right?
One of them.
right.
One of the boxes.
The only one that called out was the one on Themyscira. The other 2 are possibly on Earth, and Steppenwolf has to find them.
So did they not know they were on Earth before? Because wasn't there that whole battle in the flashback that took place on Earth where they left them?
They
That
knew
seemed like a Dan and
they were
Dave,
left
like,
behind. They just
forgot
did,
the Iron Fate moment.
yeah, they knew they were left behind. They just didn't know where they were hidden.
And I don't think Darkseid realized where they were. I don't think in that scramble, because he damn near died. We'll get to the flashback, but I don't think he realized that they got left behind, and he didn't know where they were. And that's possible. It's been 5,000 years, right? So I mean, it's.
I
mean,
will
Is that but a week to
those-
him?
those points, but I will also add that the dude got his ass kicked. Like,
Yeah,
if you got straight up bullied
serious
on
question.
Earth,
in Infinity
I-
War. Yeah, I mean,
Serious question. How do y'all feel about that kind of idea? Like
I don't-
Darkseid's a big bad,
well, that's the
almost got
thing.
beat right off the bat.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just wondering, like, seriously.
Let's go into that because it's close to part one, but it's the Age of Heroes is what they're calling it.
well, it's kind of the start of it, really. I mean, so yeah. Go ahead.
The thing that we're meant to take away from it is he's actually not Darkseid yet.
Mhm.
He's very young. He's actually known
Grayside?
as Uxas, Uxas. I hope I spelled that or
Oh,
pronounced
yeah,
that
yeah.
right. But this is actually him before he's gained those full powers where he gets the Omega beams later on in a flash forward or a premonition. All that good stuff is much later. So he's just kind of this like egotistical, strong kid at this point in time. And yeah, got his ass handed to him by Zeus, Ares. This entire sequence, I have no idea in whose mind either Joss or the execs of WB thought it was a good idea to shorten this down to whatever we got in the theatrical cut, which I might add, I might need to go back and rewatch just to make sure I have my full thoughts together
Yeah.
on what was one and what was the other.
Well, if I remember correctly, in this one we see a like we completely see a recognizable lantern, right? Which, if I remember, the theatrical cut was kind of
It was
We
quick.
see him from a distance. Yeah.
right.
It was
yeah.
quick, and we saw him die in the first one. But this one, he has a little bit more screen time, not a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like they recast some of the gods too. I feel like Zeus was recast. I don't know if Ares was recast.
It
It was
was
the
the
theatrical. I don't remember seeing him.
No.
That's the point. Like,
You didn't
you
see
I
the
barely
do.
face.
saw
I
him.
remember seeing. I
But it
remember
was
seeing
barely-
Zeus, but I
Yeah.
think he was. I think it was a different actor, which
No.
again
Okay.
is another reason why I want to go back.
No, this one was the same
Watch.
actor from Wonder Woman, the actor who played Ares
David
in Wonder
Bowie.
Woman.
For
It was the
Ares,
same
yeah.
guy.
Okay, but
Maybe
Zeus
a different look, maybe. I don't know.
particular,
Yeah.
yeah.
Made
I
him look
like
younger.
this entire thing. Just even like the Atlanteans showing up, the realms of men showing up. I'm getting all like Lord of the Ring flashback feels, which is never a bad thing to induce.
Mhm.
If
Yeah,
you
no,
induce some of those nostalgia feelings, you're doing right.
I
You're
want to
doing
know
the
what
right
happened
thing.
with the Amazonians because they said the Amazonians showed up before their enslavement and banishment. And then they said the same thing with the
Well-
Atlanteans before their descent into the sea.
But I think they covered that in Wonder Woman. Is like it was a time when they had coexisted, and then the battles with the world of men, and they just went back onto their island. The gods put them there to protect them, because this is obviously a point when the gods were still around, heavily involved with things. The lanterns were there.
No, but
And
it is
Atlanteans, of course-
specifically they said about the Amazonians that they were banished and enslaved in that particular island for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to watch Wonder Woman again to figure that out. I
Yeah.
remember.
We have to watch again, and even in this one, we get a little line from Diana, don't we? Where she says Atlanteans and Amazonians, or the Amazons, had like fought against one another.
They had a war.
They had a
when they
war.
were looking at the video footage of Arthur, that they
There
had
you
a
go.
long time war, and yeah,
There's some great ideas thrown in this film that I hope
prequel.
so, anything.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
we'll get to that. But yeah, that's another thing like world building, universe building, and the Age of Heroes flashback that we got is all great stuff. Like I love the action sequences. I love the battles. I love seeing more of all of these factions. And just anytime you see Amazons going into battle, I'm all for it. Some of the best moments of this film are the Amazons being badass. And not only is it great as a visual, and there's some strong emotional feelings that they're putting out there, but just to have women portrayed at this level of like of this level of a comic book, and then being brave and warriors, you don't get that anywhere else. Like I feel like some people have always tried it, but you've never gotten to like seeing women as like full scale Lord of the Rings battle type women.
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
and having that is great.
It was very much showing how strong women can be. Obviously, the Themyscira defending the box in Themyscira the whole crowd, all of them yelling out, "We have no fear." The battle we're talking about, even the stopping the terrorists in London, and this whole class of schoolgirls getting to see Wonder Woman show up, beat all these guys' asses, and
blow someone up.
yeah, well, yeah, right.
Honestly, the only thing was that very last part.
Did she have to do it? She could have just punched.
And I
him.
know it was probably
Yeah.
also to set up her blast thing that got used several times throughout the movie. But after all that, I was like, "There's kids behind you," and like the building blows out.
Yeah.
So it goes away, but still, I was like, "All right, I'll take
Can
it."
we say
and
how
my
dark that scene was, though, JC? That was very
Yeah.
dark, showing these
Oh
guys.
yeah,
Much
it was.
darker than
It
the
was.
original.
It was very dark and everything.
I don't mind it.
And even the little girl asking like, "Can I be like you one day?" And she's like, "You can be whatever you want." My wife, by the way, theorizes that could potentially be a Batgirl. Maybe she grows up to be a Batgirl. I don't know necessarily Barbara Gordon, but maybe
Well,
she wants to be. She's in a schoolgirl outfit. That's the thought. So, but and then my wife
It's
just
a
comments.
Gotham field trip to the Louvre.
I mean, well, who knows? Who knows? Maybe maybe it's what's his face is Alfred's relative or some shit like that. Who knows?
There you go.
Cena did mention, don't forget Artemis. Yeah, Artemis. Even in that scene, the battle back
With
just
the
those
gods.
arrows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
had some great moments, man.
blew up a damn ship by herself for crying out loud with one
Mhm.
arrow. So, yeah.
And it's I'll throw it out. Joe, Mike, we got to hear from you guys too. But even like after the battle is won, and they're looking at these motherfuckers on the ground,
Oh,
you
God.
see the scale of Zeus, Artemis, and Ares compared to like all the men around them, and I'm just like, God damn, it's these little details that I'm liking a lot, like just doing those things.
Did you even see how different their
have
arms
more
were?
respect
Their
for.
arms glowed with energy to show that
Yeah.
they were gods. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Joe, any more to add about the Age of Heroes?
No, the Age of Heroes, that whole scene was very grand and epic. You got to see a lot. You only got to see the one lantern, and he got his hand handed to him bad. He got his hand chopped off, and then he got impaled. And then we see Darkseid trying to grab the ring, So it was like, what would have happened if he would have got the ring, I thought
Yeah,
that was
no idea.
interesting, but I liked the whole bit, even like they were saying, the man coming in to fight alongside the Amazonians, the Atlanteans, everybody coming together. It just showed how epic this fight really was. I think this was a fight like none other. Then we're probably never going to see anything like that happen ever again on Earth. This was like a once in a millennial kind of fight, It was that good.
I have a little issue at the end of it though.
Ooh,
We got these 3 boxes.
yeah.
Okay. All right, Atlanteans, you guys are going to hold on to one. Amazons, you guys are going. Man, you're going to hold on to one. We're going to seal them the way we all normally would. So you see, okay, the men kind of cement this, or cool, Amazonians get some sunlight to burn it, seal it. Atlanteans, they get like an octopus to kind of help seal it. And the Atlanteans put it in this temple. It's on a pedestal. It's going to be guarded like 24/7 for 5,000 years. The Amazonians put it on this pedestal. They're going to guard it forever. The guys are like, let's just bury it in the fucking ground. Who cares? No one's ever going to find it.
That's what
And
we
not
do.
even 6 feet deep, just 3 feet. Just bury it in the ground. We don't want to watch it. We don't want to deal with it. Let's forget it was there.
We pollute the earth. That's what we do,
But
JC.
like 3 feet in the ground, like a little bit deeper. Like this thing could have destroyed the world. We're going to just put it in the ground.
I don't have a reason. So if I make one up, it's gonna sound stupid. But I guess after a few
Why?
thousand years, if
It's
nothing
just-
happens to it, you just like,
Well,
Look,
here's
even
the
in Lord of the Rings, the men
throw
were
it in the ditch.
the backstory in Lord of the Rings, men were stupid. In the
True.
backstory
I mean,
of this movie, men were
JC
stupid.
acts like they're just going into the backwoods,
So
know?
it tracks.
I
It
know.
tracks.
Yeah.
So,
JC,
I
you're
was
acting
just
like
like-
they're going in the behind the house somewhere and just putting it in the monte in the woods behind the house,
yeah.
but we don't know
keeping
the
money out of the bag.
location.
Let me just bury it in a mayonnaise jar out in the backyard.
But we don't know the
Actually,
location.
Yeah.
You know how hard
Have
was
y'all
it to
guys
get there?
watched Ready Player One?
Yeah.
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 At the end, when he's looking for the egg and it's like in his messy room,
Oh yeah.
it's just like he left it somewhere in there.
Let me get it. It's here somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike. Any thoughts on the Age of Heroes? How much did you?
No, I mean, like,
must have
honestly,
liked
like,
this part.
No, yeah. I mean,
It was a big.
in the theatrical cut, it was one of the coolest parts, and in this one, I think what was even better was actually having dark side there, even though he does get attacked, and
Yeah.
they obviously didn't watch Infinity War because they didn't go for the head either. But no, I mean, yeah,
got closer. I mean, you know.
yeah, no, but that was definitely a really cool part of it. I'll give you that without a doubt. Was it? I mean, it's Zeus, right? It's not Hercules who's doing Hadouken and shooting.
No, that was Zeus.
That is Zeus.
Zeus. I mean, it looks like someone who you would assume is Hercules, though. I guess I'm used to seeing Zeus
Yeah.
with the big beard and the
gray
white hair, but
Yeah.
that was some cool stuff. And I mean, like all the stuff you said, seeing all the gods, seeing the Amazons. There's parts later with the Amazons in one of their scenes where I felt it ran too long, but this part with all of them before they move to where we know they are now, yeah, I mean that was a good part of it.
There you go. I want to make sure then we also talk about something JC's already brought up, Themyscira. We kind of talked about the Amazons in the flashback. Always great to see them. And we go back to Themyscira because this is the one mother box that does call out to Steppenwolf. And those Amazons are already standing around it. It makes me wonder, are they always is there like always like 100 of them watching the box day and night, or is it just like, oh, we just heard this ripple and now the box is making some squeaking noises, so now let's throw everybody in here? Either way, this was done better than it was in the past. And again, I hate comparing because this is really the only way we're supposed to view it. We're only supposed to watch it in this kind of point of view. So the music works more for me here. The original coming down of Steppenwolf and him kind of trying to, put some fear into all of them. And JC already mentioned one of my favorite lines of the entire movie when Steppenwolf says, "I will bathe in your fear, bask in your fear, bathe in your fear." And Hippolyta says, "Amazons, show him your fear." And in unison, they scream out, "We have no fear." This is my first big emotional response to this movie. Hearing that, seeing all of them, understanding the intensity level and possibly the mindset, because they know, every single one of them know that there's about to be a battle, and because they built this structure that this thing could go at any moment if they wanted to. They have kind of the finger on the ejection button, and if they need to, they press it, and none of them inside are not willing to put their life on the line when this thing goes down. It's almost it's to put that all into perspective of like, this whole thing is rigged and it doesn't matter to them. It's their honor by being in here fighting this battle and then possibly dying either at the hands of Steppenwolf or at the hands of them just leveling this entire place and putting it into the ocean. I loved this. I loved anything dealing with the Amazons. And again, if anybody says it's either woke or like, I don't know, whatever, I think this is the best possible way to see women on the screen is how Zack is portraying them and all of these Amazons. They're strong, they're tough, they're brave. The fight choreography is incredible. I love the way that they're fighting. Seeing Steppenwolf's armor being used in the way that it is, he's not just overpowering all of them like he was in the last one. I hate comparing, but they actually get some good moments where they're shooting arrows, pulling him down with ropes, and he's having to kind of use his armor to break arrows or maneuver his way out of the situation. It's more of a back and forth in this one. The Amazons have a decent strategy, and he has to run away because the cavalry rides in at the very end. But I love it. Anything with dealing with the Amazons, I absolutely love it. We'll go the other way around. Mike, how about you, sir?
I mean, yeah, like it was a really cool scene. Again, I don't feel it as deeply as you do. I mean, it's cool to see them do that. There was one scene, and when they start knocking out the pillars, like you said, to bring it down, there's two Amazons at the end that are holding, and one of them is like jacked and ripped, and like I just wanted to touch her stomach because there was like abs for days. And I was
I
like,
thought it was
"Hey,
Beth Phoenix for a second. I really
dude,
thought it
it
was
would
Beth
have
Phoenix.
been a perfect cameo for her."
Uh,
But yeah, like, there's just that one scene. I was like, "Dang, like, that's like I just want to." Okay,
Tina looked it up. She's like
Um,
some CrossFit champion or some shit like that they put.
I
on her.
believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the again. I don't want to feel like I'm just like saying the exact opposite of you, but I feel like the ending of it, like after that, it was still just going on a little bit too much, and I was like, and again, that's just part of like they extended it for the 4 hours. It's just cut, but majority of that was fine. I just felt like toward the end it was going on a little bit too long. But yeah, I mean, I get it. It's the different. I mean, it's men, it's Atlanteans, and it's the Amazons, and so that was their part of it. And you know, they were definitely fighting and giving up their lives for the mother box, but you know,
To no avail, you know.
yeah, in the end, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I want to shake you a little bit. Snap out of it, Mike. It was amazing. We had a comment on the video. Nick Kramer, friend of the show, Nick says it was way better than the Justice League version, where the parademons immediately start mercying
Just
the
killing
Murking.
Amazon guards.
Murking, yeah.
Okay, like they were nothing. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly what I said. It was more of a back and forth. You see the Amazons, really putting up a strong fight against not only Steppenwolf but these parademons, and I like that. You even see Hippolyta doing that scale, where she goes up the wall, just stab that one, and you put these connections, right? Because she's seeing her friends and her soldiers kind of they'll fall around her or something, and she stops in order to help them up. So it's not just like they're just all lambs to the slaughter, but she's trying to help some of them on the way out of this thing. And so however they tried to do it, however they tried to convey this entire sequence in the past, I just feel like this hit so much better. This hit all the emotional beats. Choreography is better. I keep talking. Joe, what about you, sir?
No, everything was good. I like that whole sequence. I thought it was very well done. And one of the things that you really got to see is the queen herself and how much she truly does care about her people. She cares about all the Amazons so much so that on her way out, she sees one of them that was right behind her, trailing her on the way out, and she
Yeah.
kind of gets, I guess, and she's in combat with the parademon, and the parademon's about to strike the death blow. She stops what she's doing to kill the parademon, immediately pick her up from the ground, and they continue on their venture out of that dome. But it just shows you that she doesn't want to leave people behind. She wants to save as many of them as possible. One of the touching moments too was when they got knocked off their horse, and one of the horse had fallen on one of the Amazonians. The queen first reaction was she wanted to save that Amazonian, even though she knew that the mother box was something that she needed to protect at all cost. She was even with that Amazonian as she perished, holding her, watching her breathe her last breath, uh, giving her some comfort. So that shows that she takes her job as queen and really caring for these Amazonians on a very personal level. Like these are her daughters, all of them are. I thought that was a very touching moment because you see this queen that is, this fierce warrior leading all these Amazonians into battle, but she really does have a big heart and really cares about every single one of them, So I thought that was
My
very touching.
my I'll interject real quick here because I thought it was interesting. I watched this film with my parents, who my mother's probably only seen probably 2 comic book movies ever. And my pops, I take my pops to go see the things that he's familiar with. So anytime Batman's on screen, I'll take my dad to go see the film with me. And even they were saying stuff like, it's interesting that this queen is fighting alongside her warriors. You watch movies or TV or just like war movies in general by just random countries, and the generals or the heads of the military are always like in a bunker miles away or something like that. But no, this queen is on the front lines, doing all that she can. So it was even sort of a different point of view, or a different aspect of seeing that for just regular audience goers like my parents. JC, how about you, man?
Aside from everything you guys said, one thing that also stood out to me was this is our first look at Steppenwolf with the VFX. This is also the first, like his boom tube, how he comes down. That was even a different look, a different sound effect as well. And even a different tone on this movie was the fact Steppenwolf didn't give a shit. He'll throw a horse like it was nothing. He just lifted up and threw a horse like, hey, I don't care. I'll throw,
I'll show you CrossFit.
Yeah, exactly.
Chunking horses.
I mean, he's just tackling horses. He's picking them up and throwing them. Obviously at the very end of the movie, no animals were harmed in making this film. Yeah, you did. Well, it looked like it, but you could tell it was CGI. So
yeah.
But yeah, this hit. As far as them yelling, "We have no fear," I had a lot of 300 flashbacks. Spartans, what is your profession? No, I brought more soldiers than you. And let me see the Spartans versus the Amazons and see how that goes down. That'd be a hell of a fight.
Where's the hunchback guy?
Yeah, right. As long as that guy's not involved, yeah.
So I don't know if you guys are sort of tracking your emotional responses throughout this film, but this was like the first big one for me. Like that line, I don't know why it hits me like that. I think I just like
because you're the father of a daughter. That's why.
That is one thing.
Yeah.
I think I also just like war movies in general, and we talk about this. So anytime you sort of have those soldier moments where like everything's processed already. Like this is it. This could be the end. Not backing down. Like that is already that moment. So for me, that was like my first big emotional response. Any other you three have kind of that same feeling at that moment, or is it just me?
No, definitely. Yeah. I mean, my wife said it on the comments right there. Our daughter loved that scene. She loved a lot of scenes, but those moments, obviously being a girl dad, you look for scenes where women are portrayed stronger, and you notice those a lot more, and you see the effect that they have on your kids. And I think that meant a lot more to me too because of that. So,
yeah.
When we started the show, we had a comment from Barbara Prisman, and she's from Ohio. And she said the movie was okay. She did love the beginning. So maybe this is the part she's talking about the beginning. I don't know if Barbara's still watching. Yeah. But thank you, Barbara, for your comment. This might be the beginning she's talking about because this happened, I think, in part 1. So
this is the very beginning,
yeah. So either this or even probably the Superman death scene she said she loved. So yeah, I'm in agreement. I also loved it. Fantastic stuff. We kind of already talked about the Wonder Woman introduction a little bit. You guys were talking about kind of how brutal it was. I wanted to say that I did not mind it. And I think it was done better. For whatever reason, there's more drama, there's more tension. The action sequences are directed a little bit better. The choreography is a little bit better. So I don't know, different editors, different
effects too. Just how she deflected bullets, like the opening theme.
Well, also, I would assume
you have a mic there, Jason.
I know.
I would assume if WB, when they brought Josh in, is telling them to make it more lighthearted, you're going to take out the fact that the terrorists are like, nope, we just want to kill all these kids, and like,
right?
Take away, like, I'm assuming Zack wanted her to annihilate him with her ring blast thing, whatever, and if WB's telling Josh to tone it down in that the one he brought in 2017, that's obviously stuff you're going to tone down a bit and not make it as dark as it came across.
Right.
I mean, that would be my thought.
No, and you're not wrong. And I think there's going to be some things where you can see WB going like, hey, less of that stuff. There's also going to be some things that I'm going to get into later on in the film where I'm just like, Josh, that was a really great scene. Why would you ever take that out? There's some things that really worked in this movie that had no business being taken out, even for the sake of time. Like there's a lot of things in this movie. I'm just like, oh my god, this is so great, or this is the first time seeing this in a comic book film. Um, let's get into the action a little bit. One of the major differences, or one of the best parts of this movie, is Ray Fisher's cyborg, Victor Stone character. Um, we know there's been a lot of drama between Ray and WB. Ray Fisher, friend of the show, by the way. If you want to see my interview, it's in our video archive collection. My interview with Ray Fisher. I did throw that in there.
Sure.
And I'm really glad this movie came out because of just how passionate he was about this entire thing. There's so many great things about Victor's storyline, and there's so many great things about Joe. Already called it out between him and his dad. Joe, this is gonna be your time to talk about that. Can I also just throw out there that one of the best ideas this movie had in it was the visual representation of Cyborg's power, or Cyborg's ability to not only manipulate the technology, but also see like our monetary infrastructure and things of that nature. Like, sure, he could sit there and tell us like, "Oh, I found where we need to go," or "Oh, I just hacked that thing," like he did with Ezra Miller, Barry Allen getting into the base. Like, yeah, he can sit there and say, like, I've hacked the system and the system's been hacked. But to show us like what a visual representation of him hacking something would be like, that is brilliant. And I've not seen that in another movie. So I'm gonna give like respect and props where it's due. And so this is one of those things where he sees like the bank accounts and the what do we call it in banking, JC? Private, not private data. But there's a banking term that is used from time to time with regards to like customer information. So
And basically, I mean,
sensitive, whatever it is, sensitive data. When you can see the social security number, the bank accounts, and everything for people, and you see the stacks of money that they have, and he's walking to this visual representation of what a bank is, and going through like this mom's history. The actress of which it was actually online asking people if her scene was still in the movie because she had been cut from the 2017 version and she had not seen the Snyder Cut. She could not see it in the country she was in. So she was asking fans on Twitter whether or not it was still in there. Yes, it is in there, and you were brilliant. That's a great idea, and we need to acknowledge that is a great idea. It was a great idea, and it was executed well. So, above all else, I love what we got more of Cyborg, the relationship with his father, and Joe will call out one of the last lines that Cyborg says at the end. Also, right in the feels. Good stuff. I love that. We'll go back around the other way. JC, how either much better was Ray Fisher's storyline in this film, or what were the kind of the elements that you loved the most?
well, from one, we got a backstory, we got a history, we got a more detailed, thing on how he came to be.
You throw football in there, JC's gonna love it.
Hell yeah! I mean, I was maybe I'm wondering why the choice of Wisconsin. Maybe there was a rivalry or something that Zack Snyder had with the University of Wisconsin, but I thought that was funny. But it's showing this is a big moment for him. He's a star quarterback, and his dad's not there to see it. He's getting in trouble for changing grades, but he was already smart. It wasn't like he was blessed with these abilities. He knew what to do. He knew how to hack things, but it wasn't like he did it just for the hell of it. Like that friend of his was dealing with something and he was trying to help him out. So it was like a charity thing. He wasn't doing it just to do it. And that was really part of why when his dad's explained to him on that tape recorder, you have the ability to do this, do that. It's not, can you do it? It's, do you have the strength not to do it? Thank you, Derek. Ran the ball like Derek Henry. You're damn right. Damn right.
What are you doing?
King Henry. Let's go.
Oh God, now Jason's gonna go 20 minutes talking about Derek
Titans.
Henry.
But it just also the fact that it shows his compassion. You mentioned the scene where he sees the single mom struggling, barely getting a tip when she's working as a restaurant and still managing to give that tip away, getting evicted, raising two kids. It's for him to have that compassion. It developed how good of a person he was and all the struggles he had to go through. He's lost his mom. In some ways, he'd already lost his dad because his dad was never there. And now he's getting a second chance at life. And what is he going to do with it?
And then, go ahead.
and just the fact that it shows what he can do. We didn't know what he could do in the theatrical cut. If we're fans of Cyborg, we know, he can hack anything. He can connect to machines, but them demonstrating how he's able to do it is pretty cool. Just to get on the Wi-Fi network. I think we got more before this in Titans, what he's able to do before we got this, so yeah.
Nick Kramer again. Cyborg was actually in the movie. No thanks to Joss. He's basically the core of the movie. Hey, I completely agree.
Mhm.
Not only the core, we're gonna find out when we get to the end. He's one of the key components to saving the world. Actually, a lot of Justice League members have a lot more to do when it comes to the ending of the film than what we've seen before, and that just speaks volumes that everybody had like a major role to play. Nobody was sort of completely useless or didn't need to be there at all. So yeah, I love that. Um, you know, and Victor almost blames his dad for the passing of his mother, and he's been living with that for a while now. So
Mhm.
it's a great story to tell. Seeing that, um, what's it called? Just seeing the difficult relationship between him and his dad. That even though his dad is trying to reach out, we've seen this before. Desperate dads in these situations in movies, TVs, or maybe in our personal lives, being desperate, trying to kind of make that connection one last time, and still getting the door slammed in your face in a lot of ways.
It's pretty standard for the Cyborg storyline. We saw it in Young Justice too. So yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I did not expect to see the death of his mom this way. I think
Mhm.
we've seen that accident happen in a variety of ways in the comics and as well as in TV. So yeah, it took me by surprise. Like, oh, that's right. We're supposed to see that in some
Mhm.
shape, way, or form. Yeah, loved it. Joe, how about you, sir? How well was Victor Stone portrayed, or Cyborg's presence in this movie for
I
you?
thought it was portrayed really well. You got to see him and that football game in the snow, you know, going for that final touchdown. His mother's so proud. He was so proud, just that raw emotion out of him. And then he immediately looks after his teammates embrace him on the field and he's in that end zone, looking right at his mom, just pure joy. And then immediately looks to the left and sees that his dad's not there. I know what that feels like because I've had that happen before where I haven't been present for some of my kids' stuff because of work related issues. Can't get out of work in time, trying to get there on time, but the point is try to be there as often as you can, because
Mhm.
things like this do happen where they get disappointed that you're not there, you know? And then
Yeah.
the dad, the correlation between the mom and him in the car and him actually crying because his father wasn't there for him, at that game, at that special moment. That was something that I think was meant to show him and his humanity. Even though you think of this character as bigger than life, at the core, one of the things that I think gets overlooked a lot with Cyborg is even though he is more machine, at the core of everything, he's the most human out of all the Justice League members out there. He has a lot of emotions, a lot of things that are very human in nature are that get portrayed specifically with Cyborg's character, and him and his mom, talking about the dad, and he's like, "Don't stick up for him," and she knows that she can't really say anything because she's so disappointed. He's crying, and then she looks at him, and she's trying to tell him something, and that's when that bam, they get hit by that vehicle,
Yeah.
and then the dad comes in and he sees, oh, your wife's dead, she's gone, your son is gonna die too,
Yeah.
he's like, no, I'm not gonna let him die no matter what. He wants to keep his boy alive, and he does go to great lengths to keep him alive. But at the end, when you see him in the apartment trying to talk with Cyborg blames him so much for the death of his mother and hates the dad so much for him not being there for him a lot of the time. He can't even look at him. He'd rather look out the window, and his dad's like, I know you can't stand to look at me, but maybe you can hear me, and he leaves that tape recorder on the table. And it's the thing is, that's the type of relationship that fathers and sons have. Like sometimes males in general are so stubborn. Fathers and sons are both the same way. They can be stubborn like donkeys, where it's a stalemate. I'm trying to get through you, and the son's like, no, you think you know everything. You don't. And the father is trying to speak to the son through experience, but a lot of the sons, a lot of the times, don't want to listen. And that was perfect to me, between Cyborg and his dad. Well, if you don't want to listen to me in person, I'm going to leave this tape recorder here, so maybe you can listen to me at some point, hear my voice, hear my words, hear what I'm trying to say to you. So I like that, and it's kind of a redemption story in a way for the dad,
Yeah.
because at the end, no matter how much Cyborg despised his father, hated his dad, there was a point there where Cyborg's dad said, I wasn't even sure if you were coming. And Cyborg said, well, you are my father, and he saved him. And then you see that point in the movie where the
Call
dad
it.
sacrifices himself,
Yeah.
and he did it so he could tag the box, with that laser. And he just looked at Cyborg, and Cyborg knew that it was already too late. And he just looked at his son, and he didn't even have to say anything. He already knew. It was like an unspoken conversation, really, that was spoken with just the look, with the eyes passing on that type of feeling, which I thought was a beautiful moment in the movie. That was that special moment that was shared by Cyborg and his dad. He sees his dad get just vaporized to nothing. Stephen Wolf comes in, boom, takes that mother box away. But the good thing about that is they're like, well, your dad was able to tag the box, so we can look for it now because it has a thermal signature. And then I think it was Aquaman that says he just lost his father. No, it was Barry too. He's like, he just lost his dad. They were all kind of heartbroken for him. And then even Aquaman's like, man, it's messed up. This kid just lost his father, and you're asking him to go into battle and do all these things. So I just thought that Cyborg's whole arc in this movie was the glue, like everybody says, that kind of brings
great.
everything together. But at the core, it shows a lot of Cyborg struggling with his emotions, with his humanity. He's more machine than he is man, but he has all these range of emotions that just come out so beautifully. You forget that you're looking at a cyborg. You just see the human side of this character, which is beautiful,
Even before the vaporizing, the accident with his dad, sacrificing himself for the greater good. Cyborg and team set off this fake alarm to evacuate the Star Labs.
Yeah.
And the dad's like, "Oh, it's a false alarm! It's a false alarm!"
The alien
Somebody's trying
microbe.
And then he sees his son with the team. He's like, "Oh!" And then they all, Victor gives his dad a nod, as if to say, like, I don't even know. There's
Thanks for the
so
help.
much.
Like, yeah.
There's
Thank
so
you.
much going on there. There really is. Because his dad was even trying to tell him early on, like, "Hey, the box isn't safe here.
Yeah.
There's something looking for it. It looks like Batman. There's something looking for it." So that nod, it says so much, especially because Victor wasn't saying a whole lot to his dad in the past.
He wasn't
And
saying a lot to
now,
anybody. Let's be honest.
yeah, yes. If we just took all the Victor story, if we just took the Victor Stone storyline out and just looked at it as a whole, we could do an entire podcast episode on it, because I feel like there's that much of value there. There's that much depth, and God bless Ray Fisher. If I was Ray Fisher and I saw Justice League 2017, I would probably be that committed to getting the Snyder Cut out to him. Like, are you kidding? Do you know how much great stuff was in there around Cyborg? So yeah, I can understand where his conviction came from, Ray Fisher, about this entire thing. Mike, we've been babbling on about this, but I want to hear from you, man. As someone who says, you didn't have a lot maybe of expectations from it, can you at least agree that Cyborg's character really elevated this movie, and it probably should have been something?
Do I have a choice at this point? Because I feel.
Is there anything you want to add that Joe
you
hasn't
can
said
try.
already?
You can try.
No, and it was great to see, now seeing what was apparently intended for Cyborg. Yeah, definitely. You realize it was really a poor choice to cut him out in 2017. Again, we come to, y'all are way more emotionally invested with the feelings it brings out of you. I think it was a great performance for it. It hits a lot of those, like y'all said, the him and the father tropes, the man versus machine versus the humanity that's still in him, yet dealing with all his powers that he has now and the things he's able to do. I think with what he went through, and you just mentioned like Ray Fisher. If I would have seen this, then I would have wanted. But that really, it wasn't just because he got cut. It was because of the experience he had on the set when Whedon took over. And I think that's important too, because it's not just, I filmed this part and it was great and it was a central part of this movie, and then someone took it out and I'm mad. It was, this guy came in and treated us like crap. Not just him, apparently also executives and other people. And then, this is what we got. That's not what we should have done. So I think it's more than just he got cut, because that happens a lot in films where there was a part, then for whatever reason it has to get cut. So
I think you can lose. I think you can lose a scene, and you can tell people, I got cut. I was, the guy drinking coffee in the back of the coffee shop, and I got cut. I think that's one thing to say, as opposed to like an hour of me and the struggle between my dad. I think that's like a whole other level.
No.
You know what I mean?
I did, but I just see like you were making it sound like, oh man, I had a really great part and it was a long part. I should have. We need that version. It was more than that. It was that the whole way WB has treated him.
Mhm.
Yeah,
he's apparently out of the Flash movie. There's that whole thing. So he does a really great part. He brings a lot to the movie that wasn't there. There's the famous line that was in the original trailers that never cut it, where when Superman comes back and the army's there and he's like, "You better move out of the way." We got that scene back, so that was cool. I don't know if you remember that. So no, but again,
So long ago. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I don't think I can wax so poetically as you guys have about it, but that's just that's just where we're at.
Yeah,
and I'm the way y'all feel about it. That's you guys.
I know this has been bittersweet for you, Mike, because of the news about Whedon. You have so much great experiences with him, both shows you will watch when we were younger and everything like that. Yeah, it's like we mentioned. Can't believe we were fans of Joey Ryan for so long, and then all the shit's coming out about him, So, but I think the coolest thing for Ray Fisher, he never saw this version of the movie, because I mean, years ago, Jason Momoa saw it pre visual effects and everything. Like Zack showed it to him.
This version of the 2017 one.
This version.
Okay.
Because Zack has had it edited, he just didn't have the VFX.
Right.
But he showed Momoa this years ago, like even before Aquaman came out. But he refused to show it to Ray until all the VFX were done. And so Ray actually got to see it probably like a week or two before we all did. And he was super excited as he was putting on social media. So, and we can see why. It's a full story. Now, are we going to go this like Justice League member by Justice League member? Because it feels like that's how we're going to go.
No, we're going to have to speed it up.
Yeah,
I was trying to do it the other way, and I'm like, that's taking a long time. So we've already talked about Diana to a little bit, a certain extent.
We've
already talked about Cyborg.
I'll briefly mention Arthur and Aquaman, because we already have an origin story. But I think the biggest thing about it was, obviously Aquaman was made with this movie in mind, and there was continuity issues with what the original cut was. But now with the way this came in, his first interactions with Mira, very subtle. So there's not like a lot of backstory there, like they've met and that's about it. There's already the whole, my mother brought her in like your mother. So we already see a little bit of the rift where he doesn't even associate himself with Atlanteans. No. Even when he's having that discussion with Diana, like, I don't like him either, and then, we find out, of course, why the Atlanteans aren't helping at all with this. So we get a little bit of his, not so much the deep dive into his abilities. They were saving a lot of that for the movie, but we catch a little bit of his attitude, and I think that was really cool. Less of the forced humor, even though one of the funnier scenes of the original theatrical cut was him sitting on the lasso the whole time and telling Diana she's gorgeous. But, it's still, this was a really cool way to not only show what he can do, we get an introduction on how he gets his mom's spear, and the armor that he is wearing, which I thought was awesome. And even then, as much as he hated his Atlantean side, he still found sanctuary in like a monument to the true king, which
Right.
kind of was a precursor to where he goes in the Aquaman movie. I thought that was really cool. There was already some tie-ins to that, little foreshadowing. So,
And on a quick side note, though, if we're gonna kick out Josh Whedon for what he's done, we need to replace Mira for what she's done. Amber Heard needs to go, in my opinion.
I think she has been, if I'm not mistaken. Has she?
I've heard the
You
rumors. I
might
hope
you might be mistaken.
Yeah.
There were rumors that were never confirmed, and
See, that's true.
Yeah.
I waited. I was like, I'm gonna wait until I hear this from somebody who actually probably has no stock in what's going on or is actually.
I think they've started the
like,
hashtag
importance.
Ted cancel Mira, cancel Amber Heard.
I look. So it hasn't happened yet, but if it does happen, I won't be surprised because of so much that we're hearing. There's a lot of back and forth, a lot of he said, she said. But for Aquaman's sake, if you just take out the entire Aquaman storyline, and this one, there's a lot more value to it. There's a lot more in there. Every single character sort of has their struggles, either with their family or with their future. And like Arthur Curry doesn't want to take up this mantle. He doesn't give a crap about this mantle, right? He doesn't want to be a part of it. But
he doesn't
even
want to
though
be king, he doesn't want to be king.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
yeah, he's opposite of Simba. He doesn't want to be king ever.
He just wants to help villages and take his shirt off because he's contractually obliged
And drink
to show
whiskey.
how muscular he is. You know?
Yeah, one of my
Yeah.
friends, my good friend Ed, he puts,
Smell his
he thinks
sweater.
my
Say
friend.
again, Mike. I couldn't hear you.
Huh?
What
I
is it?
said why the women sing to him for no reason and
Oh,
smell his
God.
sweat. That was just self-indulgent. Come on, man.
I was gonna say my good friend Ed, he's a big whiskey drinker. He's like, this is the way I envision myself when I drink whiskey, like Aquaman. I'm like, dude, no
on
mames,
him.
Ed, no mames.
I like that.
Oh man,
Uh,
we had a comment.
I was gonna say, Ted. Yeah, your brother
your
mentions
brother.
Cyborg had a bigger impact, but I'm glad that Flash had a bigger role. I just want to say we could talk
Let's go to
about
Flash.
Flash,
Let's go to
but
Flash.
not talk about the climax of the movie because I think that's very important. But
I like it. Go.
yeah, obviously, I'm not as big watcher of the Flash TV show, but we do get the showing him like trying to do odd jobs, trying to get in criminal justice, and the scene of him saving what's her face? Is it Iris?
Iris West.
Iris West, yeah. So that was a cool little quick scene to introduce her. Obviously, maybe we'll see a little bit more of her. But I thought it was funny that he's just looking at this beautiful woman. Oh, there's a hot dog, you know. So, and obviously that sets up later. But there was still a little bit of the goofy Barry Allen thing there, but it wasn't forced so much.
cringy.
It wasn't as cringy. And the biggest thing that stands out for me is when they're saving all the hostages that Steppenwolf has captured to try and find the mother box. And he's not like saying, I just push people and run away. He's actually trying to like, let's get him out, move a little faster. But then when they get outside and all that brick is falling, you see him just
Yes.
moving. And I thought that was like, Tina looked at each other like, whoa, holy shit. Like he's saving everybody of just all the rock that's falling. And it was a really cool moment for him. That was like the start of it.
This is already the second Justice League character we're mentioning. Like you're seeing his powers used not only differently but better. I talked about Cyborg kind of visually seeing his hacking or his research, in a visual representation. But yeah, you're right. I did like the little push it line. Like I actually thought that was kind of funny, and then to see it kind of later with Clark. But I'm okay that it's gone. But yes, the corniness, the cringy moments we had were gone, and he's still funny. He's still likable, but it's toned down, and I'm okay with that. I don't need him to be as goofy as he was in the last one. So I do like this portrayal better. It's a little bit more grounded. I also like the scene where Cyborg and Barry are escorting the other abductees up the stairwell, and he's just running ahead of him like, this way, come on. And Cyborg's like, yes, it's
Little
a
quicker.
stairwell, we got this. Yeah,
Yeah.
like You're not doing anything. I was like, oh, pick him up and carry him out. But it's even funnier that he's just sitting there like, come on, this. It's great. This movie is really funny, but it's not like JC just said. It's not forced. It's within the context of the film, which I think is even better. It shows great writing when you're pulling out these funny moments, but it's they're not jokes. The other one, we heard jokes. These are funny moments, and I appreciate that better. It's so I'm digging it.
How did Aiden react to the Flash in this film? Has he not seen it yet?
Oh, of course he saw it.
Okay.
He acted exactly how you would expect. Flash is his favorite comic book character. He has 2 Flash costumes in his closet right now, and they showed his power in ways we've not seen before. Pulling the debris that's falling, and you're kind of just seeing shots of him, flashes of him, no pun intended, in around them, which is great. And when we get to the end, we won't do it now, but when we get to the end, I will have a lot to say. It's profound. The ending of this film is profound, and so I can't wait to talk about that. AJ loved it. I hope. I'm glad you did too. Barry Allen was done better. He's not. He doesn't need to be TV Flash. I think Grant Gustin has that down to a T. And so seeing Barry in a different light, and I liked it. I really liked the way he's written. I don't mind it at all. I have some friends online who they actually had issues with him brushing the hair off of Iris's face, and I'm not making fun of them. I'm not.
Creepy.
But they're
Kind of a creeper moment. I mean,
that's what I'm hearing. They're like, hey, he's kind of a creeper that he's brushing the hair out of her face. I'm like, wait a minute, come on, look. They had 2 really solid moments of staring at one another. I mean, I'm not trying to say like
Well, it doesn't mean you got to touch her hair, bro.
I'm not saying that, but we know who this is, and we know the comic book ramifications of it all. So
I don't know, Ted, you're justifying some things here. I don't know.
Don't cancel me, Mike. They shared 2 solid moments. So him brushing the hair from her face, I don't see tremendous issue with it. I think there's a lot, worse things that could happen at that moment. But
he could have smelled her hair. Then that would have been real creepy.
That would have been real creepy. Joe, your thoughts on Barry Allen, the Flash?
No, I thought it was good. One of the things that they also showed with the Flash himself is a unique ability that he has to kind of rewind time a little bit. I thought that was something that was very pivotal that was missing from the original film, and I like to see the insertion of that in this film. It made the film make more sense, especially as we're going to talk about the grand, finale that happened later on in the show. But just to see that, that portrayal on screen, and then you get to see, his future wife, and how he was able to save her. One of the things that I thought was really funny too was him getting the hot dog and kind of just looking at it, and you're like, why is the dude getting a hot dog? Puts it in his pocket. Yeah. And then the funny part to me that was still in the context of the actual whole scene itself is once he gets back into that little dog daycare or wherever he was at, and the window breaks, and the owner of the whole pet place is looking, and she looks at Barry, and he's sitting on the ground. He's like, I keep a sausage in my pocket for such occasions. I start on Monday, right? Because he was there for an interview, which I thought was hilarious, because he's over there sitting down feeding the dogs of the stinking weenie that he just got off of the hot dog vendor. To me, that was funny. It was funny without having to have the joke inserted, the forced joke, like we saw in the 2017 original. Little moments like that were hilarious.
I'm glad you brought up the time thing, because you're right. We've not gotten a hint of it at all in any other live action thing, and he doesn't even fully understand it, right? Which is something that's actually very great that they're continuing on with, because he's not known as the Flash. He doesn't really have a moniker or a nickname at this point, even though we've seen him do a crossover with the actual CW TV version.
That's how he gets his name. Which
which is gonna be great. And so we already know. Well, we're meant to assume, because he doesn't have a name, because not a lot of people know about him. It's not like he's on newspapers or anything yet. He doesn't know a lot about what he can do. He's a smart guy. and he's figuring out like if I go this level of speed, weird things start happening with time.
Well, he said that. He
And-
specifically goes, weird things happen when I start reaching the speed of light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so during the resurrection of Superman, when they
was about to
do it that way, that elevates that scene for me. I like it better. I
Yeah.
like it more. And he's also
Well-
again another funny moment without making a joke. Ray Fisher has this premonition that goes really bad, right? JC, I'll let you talk about that. Explain
Well,
that.
keeping that, Mike, I don't know if there's anything more you want to expand on the Flash, but
I'm still gonna go. I'm still gonna go to
I know.
Mike.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, but beginning to the Superman resurrection, did it make more sense to you this time than it did before?
Yes,
I'm talking to Mike. I was
Oh,
going to give Mike a chance to speak here.
I'm answering for Mike.
I know.
Yes.
Let's mute Ted. Let's mute Ted.
I don't know why the first one didn't make sense. I'm not sure. Like, I mean,
I
what
think-
exactly do you mean? I mean, they
I'll
were
let-
going to bring him back because they need him to. Are you talking about like what they literally did, or
why they did it?
Yeah.
I mean, the theatrical release was like they're
Let's bring
arguing
him back
amongst
because
themselves.
we could
Look,
use him.
I'm not justifying the theatrical release by any means.
Yeah,
Like I'm not like I'm done with that movie too.
yeah,
Like this was at least better because the story was more consistent because they included a lot of things in. Again, just not overall not my cup of tea. And for what it's worth, I'm not a big fan of this of Ezra Miller as the Flash, and not just because like I think Grant Gustin's better on the TV show. Just I don't know. There's a lot about it, and again, the way they portray him running when he's going fast is just the weirdest thing to me. And I don't know the time reversal introduction thing. Again, I don't know if that's something that would have come up later in the movie. I mean, obviously, if they're going to do Flashpoint or something, but I thought that was an interesting introduction out of nowhere because obviously that's nowhere in the theatrical cut, and it plays a huge part in things. So I don't know. I get that they're trying to bring back Superman because they're not capable of doing what they feel like they need to do on their own. I don't know if that's what you're getting at. If you're talking about the Flash stuff itself.
I think it's more so along the lines of that back then, or theatrical release, the Justice League. It was Batman and Wonder Woman arguing over whether they should bring Superman back, And this time it was more like, hey, we just got our asses handed to us, and these people don't fear us, but they feared Superman. They feared, and they're starting to understand more what the mother box is capable of. It's not just an evil thing; it's a change machine. They kind of go through that discussion too.
It's a plot point.
Yeah, it's a major plot point.
That-
Yeah. And
We'll call it out. It's a major plot point, and it gives reason. It gives reason. It gives validity to their decision making. In 2017, they do bring him back because of like, hey, we could use him. That was what it was. It wasn't really like a whole lot of thought put into it, and it did feel like it was a big decision to make. We should dig up this dead body and reanimate him.
Let's
But
play.
for
Let's
what
show
it's
the
worth,
the. Let's
in
show
this
the.
one, it was a much bigger plot point, and there was at least like a solid, reasonable discussion on why we should do this, and it made more sense. It makes it more logical to kind of put it out.
Let's
in
read
this
the
point
comment
of
from
view.
Nick. Nick had a comment. So go ahead and read that, Ted.
He says, as far as contribution, buries the whole reason they win. Removing the time travel piece was so bad. It also explains the point of Pa Kent photo falling into the pool.
Mhm.
It was so they could show the time reversal happen when Barry missed
the box.
The box.
Sorry, I had to hit see more to see the rest of it. Yeah, because the photo thing was like an odd thing to throw in the first time around. You're like, why was a photo there? So using it as a mechanism to show the time reversal happening, I thought was really clever. Great idea. I'm surprised by how many great ideas there were. And it's not me like, oh, Zack Snyder is awesome. No, it's a solid, great idea of showing that visual representation of time being thrown backwards because Barry doesn't fully understand it. So he's not going to be the one to explain it to us. Nobody else knows the full extent of his power, so they're not going to be able to explain it to us. We're not talking with Cisco Ramon or anybody else from Star Labs along with Barry, so they're not. There's no Harry Wells or like Reverse Flash telling Barry like you can do this if you do it this way. So because you don't have anybody else that's smart enough to understand what he's doing, him saying time does this weird thing when I go full speed, and then having the photo and everything go backwards as he hits that mark. And I love that I was getting to the point where Cyborg has that nightmare of his own.
Mhm.
And he yells out no, and Barry hears go, which is a funny thing to me. It's another funny moment in the context of this movie. And it's not a joke. It's not a thing with a punchline. It's a funny moment that Barry hears go and takes off, and it still works out. It's great.
Which makes you wonder, did Cyborg having that vision decide, no, we can't do this? Like, well, we got to stop. And did he see that? Because he saw some
doesn't
intense
he?
stuff. Yeah. I mean, that
He-
nightmare sequence was darker than anything we'd seen to this point.
He's seeing the future. He's
Yeah.
seeing like what will happen if we take
Or, well,
this road.
The Kryptonian technology is telling him what will happen if you go this route. That's
You
really
see,
ultimately.
this is the way I took
the-
that scene, JC. Let me explain real quick, because the way you're saying it's like it seems like you interpret it as the ship was talking to him, or
the ship was telling
it
him
was
not
telling
to do
him,
it.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
what could happen. This is the future.
Yeah.
You know, if this you
Yeah.
do this, this is what's going to happen, because it was very ominous in what they were saying. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure it cannot be undone once you start it?
They-
You know,
They didn't tell Luther not to do the Doomsday thing as much as they told him don't resurrect
Exactly.
Superman.
they were like,
you know?
no, it was very ominous, you know, in the
Yeah.
warnings that he was given. But the way I saw it too is maybe the ship was giving him this information because they didn't want him to proceed. Maybe they were trying to stop him. Like, this was the fail safe. We're going to give you a vision of what could happen so you can emphatically stop what you are doing, because it went against its programming, because it's a ship and it was programmed with this in mind. You know, the AI was like, you have to stop this at all costs from happening. Maybe this has happened previously that we don't know, and it didn't end well. You know,
Okay, so that's and the ship's understanding. There's been two instances where this has kind of happened. When you watch Man of Steel, the very opening of it, you see the moon of Krypton is just destroyed, and that was Doomsday. Doomsday did it. Zack Snyder confirms that, and explains a lot more why when when Luther brought his Zod Doomsday back, like the thing is like, hey, this is forbidden. We've done this before. It
Yeah.
doesn't end well. You know, we know what this is capable of.
yeah,
And then of course the ship uses so much power to bring Zod Doomsday and BVS. So it's like, okay, that didn't work out very well. It killed the Garden of Earth. It killed Superman, and as an end result, damn near could have destroyed the world. And now you want to, okay, we already resurrected one Kryptonian. Now you want to do it again. And you know, there's a lot more to this piece. We're already invading. That nightmare sequence was nuts. It
Yeah.
showed everything. It showed the death of Lois in the Batcave, mind you, because you see Robin's suit in the background, and you see Superman succumbing to the anti-life equation, which sparks this whole thing. And it's just, you see another dead Green Lantern. Sorry, Dusty, if you're watching, your lanterns didn't look very good in this film.
But did you
Two of them are
see-
dead. one in the past, and one in the future.
Did you see though what happened though?
Kilowog!
Yeah.
That scene, I think, was more important than anything we had seen before, because it shows the catalyst of what really made him go down that dark path. Because
Yes.
you
Exactly,
see
yeah.
Doomsday there, right? Or not Doomsday, I'm sorry, Darkseid, right?
Dark
We
side.
see
You see
Darkseid
Darkseid there.
touching him. Like, that's the moment
He's-
he gave in.
He's
whole
the one
Lois
that
is the
killed
key.
Lois.
And this is, Mike, you're gonna love this. This is a Smallville reference for you. Why is Lois the key to this? It's not just that Superman loves her. There's a key line in Smallville for so many years, and say what you want about Allison Mack, but Chloe delivers it to Lois. I forget what season it is, but she says, when he finally takes to the skies, he's gonna need someone there to keep him grounded. And that's Lois in this instance, because Lois is the one that reminds him that he's human, reminds him of his human
She's
side.
his humanity.
Even to the point where he's resurrected in this film and he's kicking everyone's ass. I mean, he's just, he doesn't remember who he is, but he sees a Lois that brings him down to earth, that keeps him grounded. That's how he starts to remember things. And they misinterpret as that Lois is the key to keeping him human. No, Lois is the key. In a way, yeah, Lois is the key to keeping him sane. And
I understand that. My
so,
problem was with Amy Adams' portrayal of Lois Lane, not Lois.
You didn't
Lane.
really believe.
it's better than Kate Bosworth. I will say that.
Again,
yeah,
Omar,
yeah.
Omar to say.
No, but I that was.
But I understand that part. I get that.
But it explains.
I think,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. I think it would have been easier if you just would have brought in Zatanna to get the Eye of Agamotto, and then you can just deal with time. However,
I mean, it could still happen, right? But yeah, just Lois, that nightmare sequence, that you can see why Kal-El, Superman, blames Bruce, because from the looks of it, the Lois is supposed to be safe in the Batcave, and she dies there, and in his arms, like just destroyed. We see Wonder Woman burned at the stake, basically in front of her Amazonian sisters.
Oh no, that was
she was already dead.
Already dead, being burned. Yeah. We see the death of Arthur Curry and our first shot of the Omega beams, which is great. But that thing where she's dying in the Batcave, and then you see him flying, holding Batman's mask, and it's what sparks it. Now we understand why Bruce has that nightmare in BVS, and in the future one.
And apparently, if you read what he wanted to do with the second and third movie, we also know why Superman's mad at Batman.
Yes and no.
Yes.
With Zack.
Oh, Lord.
Mario, if you know what I mean.
What Zack wanted to do with the characters was have a kind of a romance between Bruce and Lois kind of manifest, and that wouldn't have been involved in like why she's dead per se.
Yeah.
But I think the WB told him like, no, you can't do that. That actually would have started in Justice League in this one.
I think we're missing something.
Is what he was saying.
I think we're missing something that's really important in that whole scene that we see with Lois, and she's just toast, and you suspect that it's Darkseid, that he hit her with the Omega beams because she's burnt, in the Batcave. Superman's holding her in her arms. One of the things that I think that really set him off more than anything is, did we not see that Lois had a pregnancy test?
I was going to call it out.
She saw it at the bedside, yeah. But
she had it at the bedside. We don't know what happened, though. Did she use it? Did she not use it? Was something going on?
That's enough. That's enough to tell us that she's with child.
Maybe. And that's the thing that makes this scene so much more epic, is that if she was with child and then Darkseid kills her while she's pregnant, not only does Superman lose Lois, but he loses his unborn child. That's going to set anybody off down a dark path.
That's some red wedding type stuff, eh, Mike?
Mm-hmm. So I'm saying,
with the good news.
Oh man,
that would really make him hate Batman on a whole other level, where he just wants the whole world to burn.
If he knows that, yes.
Yeah, if he knew that.
That's not sure of. Yeah, definitely.
I don't want to speculate, but if it came down to a thing where like Lois and Bruce might have started sort of like seeing each other romantically or not in this film, maybe it was the next one, and then if the world is coming to an end, Bruce saying something like you'll be safe with me or something, and she still is not safe by the end of the conflict, then yeah, I could see why Soups would definitely go through the route. But as JC said, it's all about the thing.
Your brother's funny. He's putting
Anti-life
because of
equation.
his money. He's talking about Bruce.
It's all about the anti-life equation. And one thing that has been mentioned by Zack in interviews is that the death of Lois is what makes him susceptible to it. It makes him weak enough that he can succumb to the anti-life equation.
Also, JC, and I'm surprised Tina doesn't feel this way. As math teachers, I'm a little offended that math is this thing that is used for people. An anti-life equation. I need a pro-life equation or a
well.
Life
That's the backstory is that there is a life equation, and Darkseid tries to find the reverse of that, and that exists. We need Scott Steiner here to explain it, but basically, there's like adding this, dividing by this, and there's some weird way to explain that if he recites it, whoever's susceptible can get caught up in it, he can control them. They kind of simplify it in the finale, like the last season of Smallville, how people are stuck with the whole Omega burned in their skull. That's kind of the thing. But hope is the one that's supposed to bring you out. And Superman is the symbol of that hope. And if he loses hope, if he loses his drive, we're screwed. That's really what it's ultimately comes down to.
Yeah, somebody Nick Kramer had another comment. I'm going to put it on screen for us. He says, and we know she was, when she's talking about Lois, he goes, and we know she was pregnant because of the baby basket she's carrying at the end of the movie.
Ooh, there you go. There you go. Tina also had a comment saying that she knows the life equation. Tina, spill it. What is it?
When two people fall in love or in lust, what basically?
Oh Lord!
We don't have enough time.
Are you going to give us the South Park version?
On there, am I right?
Yeah. She gave us a link to IGN's explanation of the Lantel life equation. So there's your reading, and yeah. We can get Scott Steiner to explain it later, too.
Yeah, I think we need to start moving on to the end here because this episode is going extra long.
I got you. Let's do this. Let's do Jericho's review, and then we'll get into the finale.
Wait. Let me pull it up. Let me pull up Jericho's review because I was reading.
Oh, I have it. I was gonna read it out loud.
I know. I want to see it too. Okay, go ahead.
See too.
I
gotcha.
Jericho. Want me to read it in like a voice because I can.
Oh yeah, go for that. Go ahead.
Cartman, Wacko, which one?
Whatever is more easy to understand. I don't know if that's Cartman, by the way.
Okay, I can do Cartman. This will be fun. Just for you, Jericho, because you're not here. I'm reading this in the form of Eric Cartman.
This was definitely way better than the original cut. Visually stunning. Lots of great action sequences. Dialogue was really good. The flow was fluid. This version made much more sense. It didn't seem to jump around or feel like there was last-minute added scenes. In addition, the added footage, we saw basically extended scenes of the original cut, which helped to make more sense. I'm really glad there was less forced humor, especially after Supes was resurrected and kicked the Justice League's ass. Batman is standing and on the ground making a comment about something defiantly being broken. The original scene felt forced.
This is hard. This is a long scene.
I was about to say.
I'll finish this normally. Anyway, very cool to see a really good origin story for Cyborg and journey to accept his new role. Really cool to see a more accurate display of Flash's powers, such as saving the Iris West scene. We go to see how much more of an impact Flash had in saving the world as opposed to him pushing a family to safety. There's also sets up Flashpoint. We got a tease of what he's capable of doing. Darkseid looks sick. It sucks we didn't get to see an actual battle between him and the Justice League. The nightmare scene at the end was great. Did anyone get a Heath Ledger vibe or homage when Leto would speak? We'll talk about that, I'm sure. Final thoughts. This was a really good film. I was a little annoyed with myself because I kept comparing this cut to the original, so it somewhat impacted my view. I also feel that basically I saw the movie because of all the footage, concept art, storyboards, etc. that have been released over the years. It's my fault for seeing them. All in all, I enjoyed it. I admit I was unimpressed during the first half only because I felt like it was overhyped. So I was expecting more at the time. As the film progressed, my view changed a bit. Are y'all ready for my Geekcast rating? Drum roll. Do we do that now or you want me to wait on his?
Let's wait.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's wait.
Okay.
But he does say, thank you, Snyder, for a great film. I've always enjoyed Snyder's films. Yes, there's like 3 hours of slow-mo, but his storytelling is amazing. I cannot fault him for that.
That's true. If they were cutting this down 3 hours, you probably could have just taken the slow-mo out and you would have gotten there. But yeah, it's possible. So.
Let's get to the finale, right? Which is, I'm going to actually praise this film for doing its final conflict at around an hour. It's not like a full hour, but just seeing where the team was going to in its final conflict, having a reason to find Steppenwolf, by the way, because the Mother Box Cube had been superheated and they can track it. That made a lot of sense.
Because Bruce Wayne has 6 satellites, by the way.
6 satellites. He works for Alfred, though. So, yeah, this final sequence, this final battle is a good amount of time, a good chunk of time, and I like that part of it. Everything made more sense to me because in the first one, they tried to really half-ass Bruce Wayne sacrificing himself by throwing his car at a bunch of parademons and getting chased down. And so
playing that god
what they-
awful little noise that the parademons make, which made no damn sense.
Yeah.
yeah. And then so like what they tried to do by like showing Bruce Wayne willing to sacrifice himself by just like throwing himself alone in battle, like there was no drama behind it, there was no emotional response to it, like it had no impact before. This time it was done much better, and if it takes more time to kind of make it work, then yeah, that's fine, do more time and make it work. But this time it felt more organic, it felt like it made sense. So I like that part. And they have this great battle with Steppenwolf. We get Clark coming back later on, and then this final sequence with Cyborg tapped into the mother boxes. I was like, okay, we've kind of seen this already. We kind of know what's going to happen, right? We've the other one happens, so we're like, oh yeah, we know what to expect. We did it. It was tremendous. Like seeing how different the resolution is to this entire thing. It's night and day. It's like, and I talked about how bad I did not like the ending of the last one, that it felt too rushed. It felt like a cop out. That's how it felt, the first one. This one actually had so much more to it. And the team loses, the boxes are united, they unify, the explosion happens, the earth, or that part of the earth, is destroyed. And for Barry Allen to save us all by reversing time, running towards the explosion, saving all of humanity, saving the team, and stopping everything. Are you kidding me? That we did not get this. That we knew, they knew, executives at Warner Brothers, Joss Whedon, whoever, knew how great of an ending this was. This is one of my favorite endings in all of comic book movies. Like, I could not have predicted it would end this way. I didn't think we were going to have this good of an ending. I thought we'd have a resolution. They defeat Steppenwolf. Boxes are saved, whatever, right? We're good. No, this is a much better ending. This is a perfect ending. This is a powerful, strong, profound ending to this movie. It boggles my mind, and we can spend another episode talking about it
Or
on
two.
who. I won't blame Joss. But who decided that we would have this perfect ending to a movie like this, and we would not use it. It's criminal. It's criminal to remove something this good from a film, from a story. JC, your thoughts?
I know, first of all, my son enjoyed every part of this final battle. He has a toy he got for Christmas that's a Batmobile. He can drive it around, and when he presses a button, Batman will eject out of it. So that scene where the Batman's Batmobile gets hit and he flips and he sees Batman eject, he's like, "That's my toy!" It was so cool to see him excited for that. But just that sequence alone, where he comes up and then Batman zips out of the chair before he gets attacked by parademons. First of all, Batman did so much more in this scene than he did in the original, and not just for that, but fighting the cannons and everything. And then both kids got excited when Soup shows up, and just not impressed, destroy the axe, and that was beautiful. That was amazing to me. And I think when we were talking last week, someone asked me, "Does Steppenwolf put up a fight against Superman?" And I didn't want to answer it because I knew there's like that would spoil too much. But the fact that you could see why Steppenwolf didn't want to face the Kryptonian, because he got his ass handed to him, and the only reason that he didn't die in that moment is because the boxes united and everything like that. So, yeah, with the new costume, the black suit looked amazing. By the way, now as far as the Flash, I know people have talked about they're doing a Flashpoint movie to erase everything Snyder has done.
Yeah, Nick called that out.
Yeah, Nick had called that out. Well, get this. They don't get to this point without this ending. They don't get to this point without everything Snyder has done for the Flash, because Snyder has shown what he's capable of, how he can time travel, how he's able to do all that. And that's the great irony of it. You're trying to erase everything Snyder's done, supposedly, But if Snyder doesn't show you what he's capable of here in this film, you don't get to that point. And obviously, this explains a lot as far as why he time traveled to warn Bruce before, why he's still around in the future nightmare sequence we see at the end, and why he's such an integral part of this team, why he's needed. So that was pretty amazing. It was in a way his moment of redemption, him telling himself, just, I love you, Dad. I want you to know I was one of them if this doesn't work. He just wants to make his dad proud one way or another. And if it's this way, if it's anonymously, that he was good with that. So there's so many levels to this, but this really showcased what he's capable of, and I thought that was really awesome. And maybe somewhere stuck in there, this explains how he meets TV Barry Allen in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. They both are just exploring the Speed Force. Maybe when the crisis happens, this Earth is destroyed. Well, he jumps into the Speed Force as well to figure it out, and that's where they meet and they do their own thing. So maybe that's in a weird way how that happens.
The next. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, you assume Gustin's going to be in the Flash movie now, right?
Oh, he better.
Mm.
You have to pay it off. You put one guy over on one side, you got to put the other guy over.
The same way, but yeah.
Yeah, you hope on some level.
So in the next movie that we will get eventually, that I'm not sure we will, but we will get it. We'll have this scene where Barry's starting to run, and then he's gonna like disappear. He's gonna show up in front of Grant Gustin. They have that little like back and forth, and then he's gonna come back out, and then he's gonna keep running.
Yeah,
and then he's gonna finish the rest of this film. That's how they should start the next one, because they always do like the ending. Well, now, yeah, do it this way.
now
Derek
I want to
says
call myself
digging-
the Flash. How'd you come up with that? I don't know. It just kind of came to me.
You wouldn't believe me if I told you. That's what he should say. Derek says digging all the black rather than the traditional blue and red. Yeah, completely agree. Zack says that other than it being something that they did in the comics with the resurrection of Superman,
There's a significance to that suit, though.
There
There's
is
a reason
one.
why.
okay,
and
hold
it's-
on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will call it a stretch if you sit here and tell me that black colors absorb the sun more.
No.
that what you're
No,
gonna
that is partially the reason why he wore it when he was first brought back in the comics too.
It's a regeneration suit.
It's
in
a
the comic.
regeneration suit. It allows him to absorb more solar energy because he's not fully powered. And what does he do the first time he puts it on? He flies up and absorbs all that solar energy. He needs
Yeah,
that to fight. Yeah,
I will not side with the deniers of that, but I will say that in order to kind of like make sure that the understanding is there for the general audience, that would be something helpful. Now, I won't call it like it's a criticism that they don't say it. I'm fine with the black and white suit. I actually like it a lot. So, but yeah, if there's like reasons behind it, just like there are reasons for bringing it back, and there's reasons for like everything else that Zach was doing, yeah, drop it in there.
I have a theory behind that black
Joe.
suit. Why he wore the black suit? If we watch Superman, the Man of Steel, his father's name is what, Jor-El, right?
Yeah.
Jor-El, yeah.
Jor-El. When they were on Krypton, the traditional suit that they wore was black. That's what his dad was wearing. And then when you heard that scene, when he's going into battle, I don't know if it was maybe when they were resurrecting him, and you could hear his fathers talking to him, and he heard.
When he's walking through the ship and the suits are coming out,
Yes.
and he's hearing both dads.
He's hearing both dads talking to him. I think that he put on that black suit because he wanted to represent his true Kryptonian roots, and that would be paying homage to his dad, So I think that's why he picked the black suit.
I have to read something to you guys, but you can't see me while I'm reading. Is that weird?
No,
Yes.
and it's not
You're on
weird
your
at all,
phone, aren't
Ted.
you? Yeah.
Zack Snyder in the watch party on the release day said the black suit. You could say that in modern Krypton, when he left, everyone was wearing black suits, so it's sort of linked to, in some ways, the old world. I think it's a more direct relationship to his family. In a lot of ways, the blue suit to him represents his kind of place on Earth. The black suit is his suit of a hero, the suit of his destiny. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. The blue suit is his suit of a hero, the suit of his destiny. The black suit is more personal in a lot of ways, more about his family. One is outward and one is inward. Yeah, totally fine with that. Totally fine that there's reasons behind the black suit and the blue suit, and for people to understand that reasons or those deeper meanings behind it, find a way to kind of show it, just because we can understand it all together, as opposed to like hearing it later on.
Yeah.
Not a criticism, just saying like that's great stuff for people to learn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the reasoning that I was thinking that he wore the black suit was just to represent his father, pay homage to his Kryptonian roots, his dad and the traditional black suit. So,
Yeah.
you
And he
have
still
that.
continues to wear it even, at the very end. I mean,
Yeah.
which if this had been a theatrical release, him running to the camera, opening his shirt, that probably would have been last cut, end credits. We'll get the mid credits and then we'll get an
Yeah.
end credit nightmare. But you notice in those nightmare sequences, he still wears the black suit up until the point where Lois dies, and then he's back in the blue and the red. So
Yeah.
it's wondering like he's going to keep this black suit until he gives into the anti-life equation. Is the idea here?
Yeah.
That they're foreshadowing. So
Yep.
So
We need to hear from Mike. Mike and Joe, your thoughts on the last or the final battle.
I thought the battle was good. That final battle there, you see finally Superman going up against Steppenwolf and beating his ass handedly, and just being able to off the axe right in the beginning just shows, I think, the power of why they feared a Kryptonian. Because he put it on Steppenwolf right off the bat. I mean, he beat him so bad the dude was missing a horn.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Awesome.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Mike.
I mean, it was obviously, and again, we keep saying we don't
I
want to
know.
compare. We have nothing else to do but compare it to 2017. It was a fuller, better-looking battle overall than the 2017 version of it. With his suit, the only thing, like the black suit looks cool, and like I've said before, Henry Cavill looks like an amazing Superman because he's big and he's built and he just looks like an imposing figure. The only thing I thought was kind of weird with the black suit is they kind of have the talk over about you will be something along the lines of their symbol, their hope, that kind of stuff. And I just feel like in general, people would get more behind blue and red Superman than black suit Superman. I mean, just, I don't know, a small little thing there. And then even like you said, at the end, when he rips off the shirt to do the typical Superman, I was expecting the blue and red, and it's still the black. And I just thought it was kind of odd. But it overall, the battle's better. Again, I mean, still Superman kind of comes in and just clears house. I busted out laughing when right toward the end he knocks Steppenwolf back toward the portal or the boom tomb or whatever, and you can see Wonder Woman setting up for the decapitation. Like they're telegraphing it so much. But then I felt like you could have got an Undertaker entrance in for the slow-mo length of it. She's like, and then she's running off the wall, and I'm like, oh, it's coming. Like you're just sitting there. You'll make a sandwich. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And, just so the head winds up, and he's just like, crush it.
In a way, Aquaman got his moment of glory too, because he's like Steppenwolf's trying to square up. He stabs through the chest and holds him up there. I was like, oh my god, So you can see why it was rated R in that moment.
And not only that, but do y'all see Granny Goodness? Everybody hyped so much this scene. Oh, we're gonna see her. Oh my god, we're gonna see her.
It wasn't
Dude,
Betty White.
It wasn't
Yeah,
Betty
no, it
White,
wasn't
Not
White.
Betty.
but it was like, you saw her. You saw her.
Hey, you saw her. It wasn't a major
you see him?
role, but
Did you
know
see
she's
him?
there. You know she's there. So
It was
You
like that
thought the
George
Black Order
Lopez.
didn't get much use in Infinity War and
Yeah.
Endgame, man. They just stood there.
Yeah. It was like that George Lopez bit, the Mickey Mouse, the mouse running out of behind from the refrigerator. Did you see it? Did you see it?
yeah.
That's basically what that was.
I will say this. One of my favorite memes about this film was how Desaad and Darkseid are after Steppenwolf calls and they get off the phone and it's just two guys just laughing at the whole conversation. I just thought it was hilarious because it felt like this guy's like, "What? Why are you calling us?" Yeah, and then the ending. The battle was great. I mean, there's just no point. There's no other way to say it. It was amazing. We get kind of a resolution a bit where Cyborg is just kind of shedding. He's hiding. Flash is running. We're kind of seeing everything. Now, I will call these the mid and the post credit scenes.
Yeah.
we
It
kind of
was
get
part of the movie. There was one that was part of the movie. I know
There was one that was part with
you were making fun of Ted.
with Deathstroke. You mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So that scene happens. He walks off the boat. My daughter, is that Deadpool?
If only.
Teen Titans Go. I looked at my wife because we had watched it before. It was like, oh my god, watch, the kids are gonna think it's Deadpool. And she goes, is that Deadpool? And it was this Teen Titans Go moment. Deadpool? I was like, no, it's Slade. It was, so we had seen that before. Obviously they're setting that up. But then we get the scene that would have been the post-credit scene, another nightmare sequence. And this was interesting. Part of it we know was originally shot, and then the parts of Jared Leto we know was shot in Zack Snyder's backyard recently.
No.
Yeah. So obviously the line from the trailer was cut out, and I think Leto said he ad-libbed a lot of lines, but
Yeah, I did.
yeah, this was hands down one of the best, and not the best, Batman Joker interactions
Ever.
I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I just for them talking the dialogue, and it gets a bit R-rated in so many levels. The Joker's just kind of mocking him, like, "Don't send a boy wonder to do a man's job." And I immediately thought of Ted, because you've had so many issues with Robin being dead in this Earth.
No,
And it being Dick Grayson, but what was your thoughts on that sequence?
no,
there?
yeah, I loved the sequence. I love the dialogue. I love that they're trying to push each other's buttons, but
Yeah.
there's a mission to be had,
Yeah.
and so duty comes before whatever the phrase is.
Yeah.
And so I don't mind it at all. And yeah, my issues early on, because we're talking BVS. This is like before we knew what the plan was, and sometimes if you know what the plan is, then you can justify what is and what's not. So before we knew what the plan was, there was talks about Grayson being dead in this universe, and I didn't want that to happen because I want Grayson to be around and doing something. That's what I wanted. But I came to the realization that if you're just trying to tell this Justice League story, this Justice League's story is how I should say it. And you wanted to do that in like 5 films, which is fine, by the way. You can pull it off, you can do all that, and then you can hit the restart button, and it's not a reboot, but you can restart the universe, and you can come back with another team later on, and you can have a more fleshed out DC Comics universe where you have the Titans, or you have Nightwing, and you have Justice League Dark, and you have Constantine. You can do all that stuff. And so, yeah, I'm fine with it. It's great seeing them push each other's buttons, trying to get a rise out of the other one. But like I said, they have a responsibility. And even Joker, like, it took losing the planet and losing Harley to come to this point in his life where he's like, we need each other. That's what I'm summarizing in a short number of words. And Batman's saying the same thing. We need each other. Why? No idea. But I want to see why. I want to see it. I think it's great.
Who's going to give you a reach around, right? I mean, that was great.
Oh God, I love this. It was great.
I like Batman's banter though with the Joker.
Oh yeah,
I like how he said, though the Joker tried to get it at Batman by mentioning, the boy wonder and how he's dead, because Batman didn't go instead. And then Batman's like, well, I promised Harley as she was dying in my arms that I would kill you slowly, and painfully or whatever. And the Joker, he's laughing. He's like, you almost got me. And he starts laughing, and it's fun to see them having that dark humor, going against
Joe,
each other.
You've been largely critical for Jared Leto's Joker portrayal, and obviously that wasn't a full portrayal we got in Suicide Squad. But what did this make you rethink a little bit how Leto portrays his character, or does this what did the scene do for you as far as how did it make you?
This is the way he should.
Your thoughts on Leto as Joker now is what I said.
This Joker, I liked. This version doesn't mean that I like the other version of the Joker that was portrayed, because I think if they would have just started off with this that we got at the end of the Justice League Snyder Cut, that would have been a lot better. I don't know, maybe things got misconstrued, or the other version that we got of Leto as the Joker, or his portrayal of the Joker, it just kind of missed the mark on in my eyes. I like this one a lot better because it was a lot grittier, it was a lot darker. I even like the way that he was talking, like the voice was more spot on. You know, he was
Yeah.
a more ominous character in this Justice League Snyder Cut version than he was in the other portrayal of the Joker with Jared Leto. I just don't think he was given his just desserts. Let's put it that way. Maybe the portrayal that he came up with was because this is what they wanted him to do, you know. And this one just felt more natural. It felt like the Joker, believable as the Joker.
Right. Okay.
I'd like to see more. That answers your question. This was cool. I'd like to see
Yeah,
that go forward.
How he gets to this point.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Exactly. Before we get to our Geekcast rating, Mike, I want to drop your comments on either of the end credit scenes.
Well, I mean, that first one, it reminded me because I've mentioned a few times there's just characters and actors' portrayals of those characters I'm not really big on. That brings me back to Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Jesse Eisenberg's version just was never really into either, and kind of reminded me at the end. Joe Magliano, whatever his name is, as Deathstroke, I think would have been pretty cool.
Yes.
Because he's really cool in the way he does his characters. And I'm even cool with the nightmare scene of the idea of whatever's left of heroes and villains having to band together. Like you see that version of Deathstroke that's obviously been through something.
Mhm.
You see Mira, even though I don't like the actress portrayed her, injured and still with them because what happened to we apparently know what happened to Aquaman. The Joker stuff, I don't know. Like obviously it was thrown in there, and I've even read stuff where he just wanted to have an interaction with Batman and Joker, and I don't know. It kind of goes in line where sometimes I feel like they're trying to be too edgy and too I don't know, serious with it. Like it was definitely better than like y'all said, it was definitely better than the suicide portrayal that was at least shown on screen. But again, I don't know. I feel like it was just put in there just because this will be the last remnants of Snyder's verse, and he wanted to get that in there. I did notice. I don't know if any of y'all noticed. He's wearing like a bulletproof vest or something with a whole bunch of cop badges.
Yeah.
Stuff on there. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But I mean, I like the idea of the villains and heroes banding together. Him and Joker. It's almost like it was a different person portraying the Joker, because that's, even if you want to say it's a Joker that's been through a lot, where were his face tattoos? Did he get laser removal surgery?
Good question.
And then he had
Good question.
scars. It's almost like he was trying to pay homage to Heath Ledger's Joker. There were scars on his face, so it's like,
I forgot something, and I wanted to call it out because I feel like it's so quick, and the ramifications of it are huge. We're gonna get to our Geekcast scores like right now. Give me just 30 seconds. In that whole dialogue sequence between the Joker and Batman, the Joker.
Ted, calm down.
I can't. This is exciting. This is like as exciting as it can get. The Joker specifically looks at Batman and says, "How?" I'm gonna get this wrong, but it's along the same lines as this.
I know what you're talking about. It's fourth wall. Go for it.
How many Earths will you destroy? Have you destroyed because you're unwilling to die?
How many alternate timelines is
I get it. There you go.
Yeah.
How many alternate timelines have you created
Yeah.
because you're not willing to die? The fact that Joker at this point, let's say we're a year or 2, 3 into the future, maybe more, don't know exactly, is even able to understand or comprehend that we are no longer in like the same timeline, that stuff has gotten so jacked up because of time travel that now this is where we are. Joker even understands, like, how did we get to this point? I want to see that. This is not something villains should be aware of unless you reverse Flash. But even the Joker knows about alternate realities, like that's pretty damn huge. And so for him to call that out not only confirms the existence of multiverses in the cinematic form, we already know that in television, but yeah, I think that speaks volumes. That's huge.
Well, what's the basic rule of time travel in the DC universe? Is that if you change something in the past, there's consequences in the future. There's always a trade-off.
Very messed up the timeline.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Smallville, we got that. When Clark went back in time to save Lana, it killed his father. It killed Jonathan. So what are the Huh?
For her?
What?
Worth it for her?
I mean, it's Kristen Krug. I mean,
Oh my
but
goodness.
what are the consequences of Barry reversing time to prevent the Unity and save the Earth? What's the cost? And that's something that's something that I wonder. Obviously, people are already trending restore the Snyderverse. Whether they do it or not, whether this is the catalyst that gets him to finish what he started, or even if I said, if you don't do it live action, do it on an animated movie series. Let's finish it from there. What are the consequences for what Flash has done to change time? You know, what are the costs there? And I think that's going to be very interesting to see, because that's always something in DC comics and movies and TV shows. When you change events of the past, there are consequences, and what are they? And that's going to be very interesting to see how they explore that, if we ever get the opportunity.
I hope so. With that
Yeah.
being said, let's get to our Geekcast rating. That's where we on the show give a rating between 1 and 5. 1 being 2017 Justice League, and
Where's the
5
Super
being
Mario Brothers? Wow.
and
All right.
and five being, well, I'm being 20. And 5 being the best comic movie ever. We want to hear from you too. If you're watching the video now, if you stayed with us, God bless you guys. I know it's a long show right now, but let us know what your thoughts are
Oh,
on the
man.
Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Give your own score here, and we're gonna call it out. But for Jericho, drum roll please.
Jericho's rating was 4.9 out of 5. He says I can't give it the full 5 because we did see a decent chunk during the original cut. It sucks to know that we won't get anything else after this, but it would have been amazing to see part 2 and 3. But what can you do? So Jericho gave it 4.9 out of 5. So
There you go. JC, how about you, man?
Mike's gonna cringe when I say this, but I've said it already. I've said it on Obviously Movie Talk when they asked me to join them. Hands down, and my wife agrees with me, this is the best comic book movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Hands down. I love this. And it's not just a DC fan, but maybe part of it is a little bias. But this was just amazing. And I've seen so many, and this one really brought me back to my childhood, brought me back to feeling it. Just I haven't, nothing against anything in any comic movies, but I had so much fun watching this and enjoyed every moment of it. I have to give it a 5 because I can't go any higher. So it's a 5 out of 5 for me.
I'm down, Meltzer.
Yeah. So yeah, I know I'm not Dave Meltzer. It's a 7-star match. No, this is definitely a 5 out of 5 for me. So
Awesome, man. How about you, Joe?
Well, if we're rating it like that, I got to tell you, if you go below Justice League, you're going to get the ass cheeks rating, which is Wonder Woman 1984 in my eyes.
Oh my God.
But
I'm with you on that one, Joe.
I'm telling you, man. But I'm saying,
Yeah.
being a fan of these superhero, the superhero genre, style of film, you could go into the MCU and you look at what the DCEU could have done, with this particular film, with the Justice League Snyder Cut. And I just thought it was really great, really well done on so many levels. And I'm going to give it a 5 as well. Well, I think it's a lot better than, let's say, both of those first Avengers movies. It's still not going to be better than Infinity War or Endgame, but it does stack up really well. It's probably one of the best, let's say, DC movies that's ever been made, that's been put out
for
there.
sure.
It was really well done. Everything was really nice. It was a high production, and it was great to see the full vision realized for Zack Snyder. And not only that, but it was a touching moment too at the very end of the film where he puts "For Autumn,"
Yeah.
So it was like you could feel the passion that was in this film. He was doing this not only for him but also for his daughter. So I have to give it a 5, solid 5.
I expected JC's score. I did not expect Jericho's or yours. So that's actually very surprising. And I'm happy to see it though. That's good stuff. Mike, you're next, man.
You really want me to bring down the curve?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I don't know. Maybe
You're gonna
Let's
take
go.
Rob's role.
You
You're
would
gonna take me and
sacrifice.
Rob's role this time.
your unbiased score, Mike. What is it?
Oh, okay, but
Objective
joking
objective
aside,
score.
but y'all can't say that your
You're
score is not
good.
unbiased either, because
Oh, I
I-
know.
you and JC have wanted this movie for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, we didn't think about it. That was going to happen though.
No, I know. So when y'all have a high rating and y'all's love for it that y'all been saying this whole time, it's obviously biased towards it based off what had happened over the previous few years. As much as I said before, if this would have been a 2.5, 3 hour cut in
Yeah.
2017, I think I would have been fine with it.
Yeah.
And I would have been cool with stuff. I have been highly beat down by the hype and the whole stuff that went into the last couple of years. I understand why. I was ready to move on and be like, look, whatever, it's cool. And so I understand that it's better than 2017. I understand why those of you who were invested in this enjoyed it. I just didn't feel the same way on a lot of levels about it.
Oh, good.
There were parts that were fine. There were parts. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. So I will say, out of respect, 4.
Okay. Honestly, the way you talked about it, Mike, I expected a 3 out of you.
I
So
was
4 I will
thinking,
take. Yeah.
This I love you.
Yeah.
Mike,
too, buddy.
Mike, I can't even argue with that, man. I actually see I see the honest, the most honest reviews are probably between like a 8 and a 9. I would say that, or 7, even 0.7, even 7.5. I see people between a 7.5 and a 9. Very fair, very honest. I would not hate it. So your 4 would translate to an 8 in that retrospect. And so
Let
yeah,
me go 3.5 then.
I can't even
Passing grade, right?
I can't even argue against it. But no, you can't change it.
We passed the star test with Mike. We're good. So.
Oh, in all fairness, passing the star test is below a 70, so I could give it like a 50 or a 60 and it's still considered passing.
Oh my
so.
god!
Yeah.
Be
Let's
happy
go
with
old
that.
school past the toss.
So, what was your final rating, Mike?
I mean, honestly, I was thinking of 3. I was being respectful with the 4, so I'll say 3.5. How about that?
Oh man,
You're good.
that
That's fine.
rating is gonna be ass cheeks with Jericho's
No, it's
4.9.
still pretty good.
So
We
You're
still haven't
fine,
got
you're
10
fine.
rating yet. We still got 10 rating.
No, I'm
get
just
the average with you guys, and then do 2 different versions.
No.
You know what
So,
you
Calculate the
that
average
means
right now.
that
Wait,
Mike
not 10 rating.
Mike passed 3/4 of the star test. He had to go back to take the math again.
And I was like 97, 99 percentile. Get out of here. No, it's acing them things.
We didn't have to take the star. We were in high school.
No, I know.
So, yeah.
Okay,
It's a
so
calculation.
I'm gonna be I'm the last one. I gotta give mine. I'm very surprised about Jericho's and that I will say that IMDb has over 100,000 reviews and it's at an 8.4. 130 over 130,000 reviews at an 8.4, and most of those are fans, of course. Rotten Tomatoes has a 74 by critics, which is pretty high for a comic movie. Audience score has over 25,000 ratings since 1996. And so I kind of already said, like, if you're within a good amount that I was talking about, I say it's fair, and I won't argue against it. I don't have a lot of issues with this film, because there were so much details. There's so much in the details about it. I feel like this is one of the best endings to any comic movie I've ever seen, and that's not. I'm only saying this because it's honest. That's not me being biased. That's me because I expected a lot less of an ending. I expected a very straightforward battle, good guys win, bad guy loses ending. I was happily surprised that this is one of the best endings to a movie I've ever seen. I think there's a few things I would have changed. I won't give it a 5, only because I feel like there's definitely a perfect film there, but it's not perfect today. But there's not enough for me to drop it like a whole point or anything like that. I think it's still one of the best movies and one of the best experiences I've had, because I said I had a tremendous experience, multiple emotional responses throughout this film, and I had a damn good time. I'm giving this film a 4.75.
What?
I know that's pretty high. Pretty
Lower
weird,
than
but
Jericho's?
lower than Jericho's. You believe
Oh
that?
man.
No, I have a theory on Jericho. I think Jericho didn't like the film until Superman showed up, and then he was all gung ho. I think Tina and I talked about that. That was probably what the reason was. So, but yeah. So you want your overall rating? Because I have it here.
Drop it like it's hot.
4.63.
Look at I can't
That's our
believe that. Look
Geekcast
at
rating
Derek.
for Snyder Cut.
Look what your
One
brother
of our
says.
one of our highest.
Your
one of our
brother, he
highest rated
says
films.
that's below Jericho. And then he puts, "You're not my brother."
That's Derek for you, Ted.
I have to keep my I have to stay professional, right? The geek in me would
Nah.
say something bigger and higher, but 4.75 is probably the highest rating. or the
Below
second highest
Jericho's,
rating.
dude. Wow.
That's probably the second highest rating I've ever given a movie. So that's actually saying a lot.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a big
That's funny.
critic.
No,
I'm
I
a big
thought
critic.
Jericho would have rated it
I've
lower
heard
actually
worse.
from the
I
text
thought
messages,
Jericho was
man.
going to drop
So,
us at a 2. The way he was talking
yeah,
about it,
yeah.
he was.
So
He
two was an
was.
option.
Oh man, yeah. So
We want to throw
listen,
my wife's in there. She gave it 6 out of 5, but
Yeah.
that was what she commented in there. Yeah,
there
she
you
loved
go.
it.
I
There you
liked
go.
it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really well done film based on what was actually portrayed on screen. Taking the geek equation out and just trying to enjoy this film for what it was.
Yeah.
It was really well done. So I'm surprised by your rating.
By mine?
Yeah.
Again, I'm like a quarter of a point away from perfection. Like, it's not.
Do you
that
know what it
low.
was,
It's-
JC? Is that he didn't watch the film with the cape. If you would have lent him the damn cape, it would have been a
Damn
5.
it, JC. It's all your
Gotta earn the
fault.
cape, buddy. Gotta earn the cape.
You have to go above Jericho. Derek says. Oh man. Let's see.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know
no,
what,
listen. This
Derek,
has been,
next time you buy Ted some beer, make sure you get him like Bud Light or something, dude.
and that was Bud Light. You trying to poison me? Sorry.
He doesn't need that
Um,
commercial shit.
Some water.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen. This has been a great review. One of my favorites. We could honestly spend another day talking about this, but we all got things to do today, so we got to get going. Appreciate everybody who's commented. Derek, of course. Nick, the mighty Tina, Barbara earlier. Thank you everybody for commenting. We have
I thought
anybody?
they brought me on so we could do episode 1 of Falcon and Winter Soldier. What?
Oh,
I
Lord,
knew Mike was
bro.
gonna bring it up.
Oops.
That's gonna have to
Uh,
be for another day. And
Thumbs up or thumbs down on the
You guys
first
are
episode,
biased.
Mike. I haven't seen it yet. But thumbs up
Mike,
or
Mike,
thumbs
just
down,
give me a
Mike.
thumbs up or thumbs down. Did you see
Thumbs
the
up?
first
Okay.
episode?
Okay.
Oh,
Thumbs up.
I can't.
Mike, be back next week when we actually talk about
I-
episodes
get it.
1 and
You know what,
2
in all
of the Winter Soldier.
I'm invested. Like, I care about the Falcon character and the Winter Soldier. There was story building. It was getting some stuff set
I
up
get
for
that. I get
the
that.
rest of the and I mean, and
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
same thing. I don't like it. That's-
This was the lull,
I-
JC.
I
This
haven't
was
seen
the,
it. I haven't
this was
seen
the
it, Mike.
setup.
Don't make
No,
assumptions.
The
I haven't seen
setup.
it either. Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
the
we,
setup.
we haven't seen it because we've been watching Justice League nonstop on repeat. So next week is
And
going
the
to be
challenge.
the beginning of our series on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're going to actually talk about episodes 1 and 2, which I think is fitting depending on how you look at it, because some people are saying this first one is, like Mike just said, kind of setting up a lot of things. So next week starts our
in the comments. Heard it wasn't great. Okay. You Matt, buddy. That's cool.
we will begin our discussion and the breakdown of Falcon and the Winter Soldier starting
I-
next week.
I want to hear what Tina has to
Now-
say. I
Huh?
want her to. I
We-
want her
we
to
will-
see it.
We will hear from Tina, I promise.
Yeah, we should have her
I'll
on
see
the
if she
show
wants to
with
watch it.
with
I will
JC.
say this though: we did watch Raya and the Last Dragon last night. That was really
Oh,
good.
okay.
Oh, cool.
I've heard mixed things.
It was really. I won't say it was one of the best films, but it was a great story. Effects were done. They're good. Everything like that. Really liked Asian American actors in there on so many levels. Kelly Marie Tran did a great job providing the voice of Raya, which is really cool. So
They're taking over. They're taking over. Wait till
Mhm.
Mortal Kombat drops.
It's
And
a lot.
all of
And,
our-
Oh,
yeah.
Godzilla versus Kong. Can't
There
wait.
you go.
and yeah, And then wrestling, Fastlane's tonight, the last one before WrestleMania. Our Spring Madness tournament is still going on. I will say that our Final Four is almost set. We're 3/4 of the way done. I'm about to post the last quarterfinal matchup on the Twitter at @CCG_WrestleCast, which will be what is the best finisher of all time. The last quarterfinal matchup is the Shooting Star Press versus the Eclipse. Go on there and vote what you think it is. I will say the Final Four so far is the RKO/Diamond Cutter, the Vertebreaker, and the Stone Cold Stunner. Those are the 3 that have moved on so far. So we'll have our last Final Four matchup in about 24 hours. And then next week we'll get down to it there. So, and see if Mike's bracket busted. I don't know. I know the Sharpshooter was out, but you had the Stunner in there, right?
Everything except for I had the Scorpion Deathlock having a run, and it got taken out by the Go to Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sharpshooter, but the rest of it, I'm still in there. I had the Diamond Cutter, the Stone Cold Stunner, and the Eclipse, aka the O-Case.
This is going to be a tough one. A couple of top rope moves, man. So we'll see how this goes.
Hey, just wanted to say a big thank you to Mike for coming on last minute here, man. Really appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Lastly, I'm going to say that our discussion on the Snyder Cut will not end with this episode. You've heard of the Spidey debate. Well, coming up later this week is going to be the Snyder Cut debate. More on that soon. JC and Joe.
What did you just sign me up for? What did you just sign me up for?
It's going down. We'll see you on later this week. For the Countdown to the Geekcast, my name is Steady. With me on this Justice League Snyder Cut review is the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as JC.
What the hell did you just sign me up for? What is going on?
I don't even know what's happening. I'm scared now, JC.
Do I want to know? Man. Don't want to know. All right.
You'll find out soon.
Thanks, everybody. Check out our Fastlane recap this week on the WrestleCast, and we'll be leading into WrestleMania. It's coming up.
Oh, and you have a new episode of Island of Reality too, right?
Island of Reality podcast will be out tomorrow. We're talking all about the Challenge Double Agents and the new season of the Challenge All-Stars, a Paramount Plus exclusive. We got the first trailer of that. And, of course, Temptation Island, which don't let your kids watch. This shit's going down. And so my wife and I have a lot of fun recording that with Ryan Angelo Bible see what we talk. And, we had a blast on this past episode. And we're going to be recording again. They're getting ready to go back to Disneyland. Disney World, I should say, getting vaccinated and everything before they head out there. So get together with them. It's been a blast. Go check it out. It doesn't have an explicit tag for reasons, but check us out wherever you get your podcast, the Island of Reality podcast. And
I'm gonna rate y'all's podcast NC-17. We also have the man behind the magic, the one and only Joe Garcia.
Hey, so since Godzilla's coming out, go around the horn real quick. Just say it. Team Kong or Godzilla? JC.
Kong.
Ted.
Kong.
Mike.
Kong also.
Oh man, I'm Godzilla all the way. So that's coming out. Make sure you all watch it.
Make it by restricted.
Yeah. So
I mean, clearly Godzilla's OP compared, but I got to get the underdog.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
There you go.
And also on loan from the Kansas City WrestleCast, the one only Mike.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for allowing me on here without just totally turning off my mic and telling me I'm wrong about every thought I have today. I do appreciate that. No,
all fans are welcome.
Cool. And I told JC yesterday when I called him that I was going to stop making jokes and stuff in the comments, but I don't know, Ted. It depends on how many Countdown City Geek Hack posts we have each day that are just like your love for the Snyder Cut. So it's over a certain amount, I'm going to have to start commenting again.
Go for it, man. I enjoy it.
Also, on the WrestleCast, like Jason said, don't forget to vote. Also, let's get some hashtags out there for Billy Kay and Bailey all of a sudden not being used on TV, which is weird. So after tonight, in the few weeks left to WrestleMania, they better have something going on because just not using talent, man.
Hashtag reunite the Iconics. I think we've been wanting to get that trending for a while too. So yeah.
Iconic.
Yeah.
So other than that, guys, thanks. I appreciate it and be good to each other.
Have a great rest of your Sunday, folks. Have a good one.
Laters.
Yep.
Restore the